But you know what you were asking about what this meeting's going to be all about? That's a good question. Go ahead and bring that up. I'm going to full access. They're having a conference in October. They're sponsoring the hosting of this app right here. I just put a link to it in the chat. This is like just giving us a list of things we can talk about. There was stuff that went out in the survey from Claris earlier this week. And somebody said, "Hey, well, what about all these ideas?" So we went ahead and put the top 24 ideas that are in here if we want to discuss any of these things. If you bring up this app and you vote on some of the stuff here, those are the things we'll talk about. Whatever pops to the top. You can obviously game the system, so this is not a really scientific survey or anything like this. I could talk about some of the features of this app. This was developed by Matt Navarre a long time ago. He threw it together really quick. Just so that we could have FileMaker feature fight a few years ago, and we used it a couple times since then. But yeah, if you're able to log in, you don't log in, it opens up and you have to try to identify yourself. It's all on the honor system, but it has a neat little feature in here to actually ping your response time if you click on that thing right there. And it says, I've got like really bad internet where I'm at. You probably can tell from my video, but yeah, I've got like a 43 millisecond response time going to that server, which actually isn't too bad considering it's worse for me getting to work. You can change your name, your location, in case anybody's curious where people are coming from. This might actually be a link to the description. If this happened to get out to anybody who isn't already connected to Zoom, this will get you in. Refresh will be important because things that get voted on don't really sort to the top unless we click this refresh button. There's some things in here are suboptimal. This full access, if you think that's going to get you into the full access to this app, no, it actually just give you information about that conference coming up. There's descriptions about, if you click on these things, there's descriptions about each one of these features that were put up in the survey. And the ideas, actually, if you click on the ideas, they will actually send you out, and you can look those up and see what those ideas are out on the community. Voting, everybody gets 100 votes, just like that survey that went out. They said you get 100 votes, you got to distribute among 5 different enhancements that are being proposed, and so you can vote up 9, up 1, down 9, down 1. You can't vote negative because it's not good to be negative in this meeting. Too negative anyway. So that's that. The main purpose of this is not really to do a scientific survey, but just to kind of get things on the list and on the radar so we know what we want to talk about as we're going through the meeting today. Once again, full access. The conference is sponsoring the hosting of this. And they're using one of their dev servers, so it was nice that they could pull through with me really quick on that. All right, and then I don't want to dominate the meeting or how it goes necessarily, but because this was Tony's idea, so Tony and Vince are actually share responsibility with organizing DIGFM and the meetings that we have, and they go out and find speakers for us, and they frequently present as well. So I'm glad that everybody's here. We've got like 16. That's not bad. Quorum would be at least 10, just so you can say 10% of this or 20% of that if any votes go up. All right, because I can see right here, like Vince is in, Caitlin. Oh, by the way, Caitlin actually provided, I think she was on the community. She actually provided the list of 24 items, the top 24 items. So thank you, Caitlin. You there?
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it going somewhere else.
She responded to Hansa and she goes, "Look, there's the top 24 right there." So we thank you for that. But yes, if you you can begin voting on that stuff. I think this has not been thoroughly tested. I only tested this by myself. I didn't test this with a lot of multi-users, except between me and my iPhone. You can see up there, and so I won't be voting on this machine, so I don't skew the result. But yes, I did prime some of the votes because I am very partial towards the seeing a free version of FileMaker because I work in education. I work at San Jose State University. I'm not a I'm just a programmer there. I'm not a teacher, but I do get approached by students and things like that. And you know, I'll just say there were several students who approached me, and when that form went out from Claris saying, "Hey, we'll have a freemium version coming up," and I said, "Oh, that's great." I told all the students who were talking to me, "Say, hey, sign up because who knows, this will be any time this year maybe." And so it's been years later, and we have not seen that free version of FileMaker Pro. And all those students have actually all graduated. So that's how long we've been talking about this. I guess one of the purposes of this meeting is not just to talk about the future, but actually talk about what we can do now in place of some of these things that people are waiting for and hoping to see. We were joking about earlier off record. Yeah, what do you do when you don't have a free version of FileMaker? You've got the 45-day trial. I think somebody once suggested, going out and getting the what is that? The developer subscription? It used to be cheaper. It used to be like $99, and you pretty much get a fully functional server. Well, not fully functional server. You could serve out to 3 at a time, I think. You've got
and you get 3 of those.
Yeah. So that means you could actually do something with that. You could actually develop and start building a system. It used to be only 99. Now I think it's 200. So now it's kind of slightly jumped the threshold for the student developer who just wants to see off their limited budget whether or not they actually want to commit to a platform like this, and other hobbyists and so forth. I don't know if anybody else have any other comments about freemium and workaround to that.
I was thinking about putting up something for my wife's business. And a copy of FileMaker Pro and a server is like $1,000.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking developer, I'm talking about putting it out on production. But still, it's
So
like
it depends.
I'm a
Yeah, I mean,
small
there are different
business, I think.
licenses. So, if money is more of an issue, then just like I recommended to my own, clients, then you want to do the yearly or by every 3 years or every 5 years or whatever 10-year renewals, because it's just better to manage a budget that way. But if I may comment on this, you guys are not the only people who want a free version of FileMaker Pro. That was one of the first things that I said when I was interviewing as well, that why don't we have a free version? We could give people 6 months or whatever time frame so they can build something. They can see if this is really something for them. Is it going to solve the problems? Oh, great. We have been talking about this. We're working on it, and we're still working on it. I've been here now for 3.5 months. I've heard different things from it's a technical problem to that it's not a technical problem, anything in between. I keep bringing it up. We keep discussing it, and I'm hoping that one day soon it might come to fruition. But it's something that's definitely in the works. It's not something that's been forgotten. I'll tell you that.
Okay. Yeah, obviously
It
it did
was-
show up on the survey. So.
Yeah, it was on that
It
survey.
has been forgotten.
Right, but the survey, just so you know,
Always
came
under
partially from the
discussion.
things that I've been working on, partially from the things that they are, assigning to us, things that I want to work on. So that's why I was like, if you guys want to get some information about some of this, I can give you some information. Not a lot, but I can give you, a little bit. But first and foremost, I'd like to know, because I'm not sure if everybody understands the implement centralized control for FileMaker security across multiple files. That was interestingly worded for me. And I heard that there's been some confusion about it. I just want to know if you guys all understand what we're trying to do there.
That could be easily done if all the files connected to it and you put the security.
No. But I'm sorry. I wasn't asking whether it's difficult to do or easy to do.
Yeah.
I'm asking if you guys understand what we are trying to do with this.
I don't.
Is it
I
clear?
don't. Yeah, no, not really.
Okay.
Sounded good to me. But go ahead.
No, if somebody knows, then do tell.
I mean, there's this description that they provided in the survey. It says we want to build centralized security management interface for FileMaker solutions that span multiple files. This will give developers a single place to view, audit, and modify access controls across all solution components, such as records, layout scripts, value lists, and other protected assets. The experience will allow filtering and exploration from multiple perspectives. This is actually something I asked for. For example, who has access to this layout? Or what can this privilege set do across all files? And reduce the need to open each file dialog individually to manage security. Yes, this is actually one of my product ideas in there that didn't get up in the top 24, but it's in there.
It's quite a lot of people's ideas at this point, from what I heard. It's been a pain point, for a lot of us. They having to constantly open one more door to get into one more room, and then having to come back out one by one. That was created decades ago. So what we're trying to do is basically flatten that whole thing.
Security tables?
So you can have
like security tables, maybe?
Flatten the entire thing, not just tables, but the entirety of the security. So you could have one screen that's big enough that you can see everything almost across it.
Yeah.
So both Wim and Klaus came up with different prototypes or mock-ups to visualize this a little bit differently. One of them is more top to bottom, the other one is more left to right. We're definitely not going to do right to left, so at least that's out of the question. We'll have engineering come in and tell us how they can envision doing this, and then design is going to come and say, here's what, how we would like to do it. I've done a little bit of work myself. I was a little over eager, and I wanted to do more than just this, but because of constraints and limitations in engineering capacity, we're going to have to start with just viewing all of that. And when I say all of that, accounts, external authentication, privilege sets, and then look at them. In what the note basically was trying to explain is that you can look at an account and see what that account has access to, or look at a privilege set and see what that has access to, or look at a layout and see who has access to that, or look at, let's say, value lists or whatever else we're looking at, and then sort of view everything from everywhere.
Just out of curiosity, would a solution like that happen to include the Active Directory? Because Active Directory has a list of accounts in it, and I actually need to be able to break it down to that level.
Right, but Active Directory is a Windows specific,
Yeah.
thing.
Talking about workarounds just for the moment. What I do is, I end up importing from the DDR all that information about the privilege sets and the accounts, and then I also import all the records from our Active Directory, so I can do security audit and say, well, who has
That's
access
exactly
to this?
what we were talking about as well.
Who should we remove?
Right.
And so I end up having to put all that together, and it gets kind of complicated if you think about it, because on the security list, it has to do with where you are on the list. Like if you're higher, if the account you're coming in with is higher on the list, then that's the one that decides what your privilege set is, right? Even if you appear in an Active Directory group that comes down lower, both privileges, you get the one that's on the top. So it was a tricky thing to bring that all together in FileMaker. I mean, FileMaker actually made it kind of easy, but you just had to pay attention to the sort of all those things.
That's why we're going to be doing this work in phases. I would like to get the prototype in front of people so they can take a look and say yay or nay modifications, whatever we need, and then have something in ETS once that's been ironed out. Yeah. And that's also in the works. So this is a feature that is pretty much cemented in the next version.
And Darren got his hand raised.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just wanted to even get an opinion from Vince that we're big users of DDR tools. Now, as you mentioned, Eric, that you run it through your DDR. There's still not a good way. And I actually looked at this 10 minutes before I joined this meeting. I have a permissions group that's run through Active Directory that I have X number of users been assigned by IT to that group. And then I'm trying to drill through the solution to try and find out what that group can and can't do. I am not the only developer on this system. And from there, we are looking at that permission group having field access, table access, record access, layout access, and then script steps that call custom functions that combine multiple permission groups to then say, if this is a system user, allow them to do this. And the function of drilling down to find out if they're a system user or not is to go through the script step, custom function, permissions, etc., etc., etc. So it is a real ball of spaghetti.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes. In fact, yeah, I mean, actually, one of the product ideas I have out there is that, I mean, I really think a lot of the schema stuff, because we're looking at like what looks like tables whenever you do manage something, right? You do manage database, you look at the tables, you manage security. Everything looks like a table, but it's not a table you can, I don't know, it just seems like intuitively, like it would have been nice if all those were FileMaker tables that you could do sorts on, finds on, joins, add, supplemental tables and join them to those tables. I mean, imagine all the things that you could look up and find and change really easily if we could just use the skills that we already have rather than, so.
Look, I mean, I think we are going towards making this as easy as possible for people, but, we can't do everything in step one. So step one is going to be to expose all of that, flattened down onto one sheet, basically. Sorry, I'm still getting pinged from work.
Black.
So to be able to at least give people the option to do the research, give people the option to do the audit. That like, I need to do this. What are the other relevant pieces of information I need for that thing? And then in this phase 2, we would like people to be able to edit parts of it. Now, it's one thing, us coming up with ideas. It's another one for engineering to be able to do that.
Yeah.
From my perspective, that's a good feature to have for 100% sure. I hadn't seen the description of that, so I think I understand what you guys are going for in the long term. All I'll say is it would be very nice to be able to point to or have a list or, I don't know, a methodology with how you would be expected to apply permissions to a larger solution file. Because one of the challenges that our organization has had when it comes to responding to RFPs, where our FileMaker solution is kind of core to whatever the problem statement that the potential client has, is describing the permission model that FileMaker has in a way that makes sense to an IT department, because they're going to see FileMaker or Claris and Apple and be like, who the heck is this? This isn't SQL. This isn't Postgres. I don't know what the security capabilities of this platform are. Being a FileMaker developer, it's like we all know that, we can do whatever we want with FileMaker and it's going to probably work. But doing that in a way that makes sense to a third party that's not familiar with FileMaker is where there's a huge challenge right now, because how we've decided to implement permissions, we know it works, but then trying to explain how we did what we did within FileMaker, like that's a language that most IT departments or technical people aren't really going to have knowledge of. That's
one of the hoped outcome of this, that they will get the tools that they need, as well. Caitlin, sorry. I'm going to hop out. Eric, it's fine.
I have a very basic question, which because I had to rush off and do something before the official session started. I can't, on the Roadmap Warrior app, I don't seem to be able to contribute votes for any of the idea entries.
Is anybody else having that issue?
Yeah, same issue.
No. Let me see.
Maybe that's why there's no greens.
It's rigged.
Yeah. It's just me and Tony voting.
Isn't everything?
Told you I didn't
It's a-
test it.
Eric, it's a permissions issue.
Oh, really? Here.
Can you go? Yeah,
I
I'm
said as
being
well.
facetious. Can you go through the system and find out what permissions we have?
Here we go. Oh, yeah.
If only we had a
Here we go.
centralized.
Yeah, I know. That you can all access. Let's see. I think you guys are coming in with plebeian, is how Matt named it. Records. Are you saying the vote thing doesn't work?
Maybe you could
Is
look
this
at the
all
hide count.
executable?
We're
Can you look
not
at the hide count?
seeing, there's a hide condition on the green circles.
Exactly.
Say that?
That's probably.
Yeah,
There's-
not all the
there's-
green circles are.
Caitlin said that
Oh.
there's be a
Yeah,
The
hide
hide
count on the
condition.
green circle. Yeah.
Do you have here? So like I'll demonstrate. So if I do 9, it should. There, it takes a second.
You can
Adds
do
9?
that.
Yeah.
Look
Down at the
further
bottom.
down where it starts saying idea.
Oh yeah,
Down the
those are
bottom.
closed right now. That's why. I'll open those up as soon as we finish up the survey ones. Then I'll open those ones. Okay, and then you can change your votes. Sorry about that. Okay, yeah. So then it is functioning as expected. I wanted to get through the survey items first, and so actually what I wanted to do is do a comparison, like what this looks like now, and based on the Claris survey, and then see what it looks like when we vote on the ideas and see if those things rise to the top. That was just kind of a demonstration, like a before and after.
Hey, Eric, can I jump in here? Can I share my screen? Give it back to you?
Yeah, let me
Okay.
stop my share then.
So Aggie and everybody, this machine does not search virtual. Hold on. Portion of screen. Hold on. I'm trying to. It's a new message there. Oh, wish me luck here. So I like this feature that we're talking about, which is security something or other. Oh, darn it. Okay, I have 3 things to show, but one of them's putting up a bit of a fight here. I have a screenshot of the security model. Aggie, I like what you're saying about basically unrolling it, because if you look at the security, if you drill down, and I've done that, you're traversing a hierarchy. And if you flatten it out, you're unrolling the hierarchy, right? And taking it down to the granular level. I'm assuming that's what you're planning.
At least to show it to people like that.
Yeah, view only for start.
That's how
That would
it's
make sense.
stored.
View only to start.
But we're
So-
we're not creating a different database structure. We just want people to be able to see everything at once.
Unrolled. Yeah. So I'm just reading it back. I did understand.
Okay.
So my question then would be, would you be doing this? What technology would you expect this to be done? There's a history of FileMaker using FileMaker databases for various structural elements. Or do you think that engineering is going to like do this in, I don't know, Objective-C, Swift, whatever, or FileMaker? Because the FileMaker database could represent the data model of the,
I think it's probably gonna be done with something that they can compile in Xcode, right?
Yeah, I'm just hoping it's not the admin console.
And it's I know that, I mean, as much as I love JavaScript and I would like to use it for a lot of things, and we have been talking about it as well, and it is used in Studio, and we're still discussing the question of upgradability and security of those. I definitely don't want it to be a FileMaker database. I mean, just like we had it in, like, what was it, 5, where we had a way. I mean, because that's the thing. This is not really totally something new under the sun. Some people here that I'm not gonna name are young enough to. Is he still here?
Who? Tony?
We lost him.
I'm here. No, I just stopped sharing my screen because I wanted to.
Yeah, but you're not that young. Oh,
I'm incredibly young.
no. I'm talking about Josh. His computer died, so he had to leave. He just messaged me, but I always tease Josh that he's young enough that he doesn't know a lot of the things, and I think he's got a lot more patience for certain things than a lot of the other people who've been fighting this fight for a long time. You know, and then I mentioned this because he doesn't remember, for example, that we had this feature. We had a way of managing privileges, or at least accounts, over multiple files.
You have it now.
That most of you remember, right?
It exists now.
No, I believe this was something I heard Clay and Chris, maybe Keith would know better, but I think there was a plan to do it on a server,
There was
but then they opted.
Oh, no, I'm talking
Go
about
ahead.
something that we actually used.
I don't remember.
Had something.
Nope.
Yes, I used it. What you talking about, Willis? Oh, I'm gonna go look it up. Nobody believes me.
So
I'm that old and nobody believes me. Ay, ay, ay.
I quit my screen share for a second because I took a screenshot earlier. This is what I mentioned in the chat in response to Giuliano. This is the tool that we've been using for more than 10 years to establish roles, which essentially map to Active Directory groups. To Eric's question, you could, with the proper structure, you could import Active Directory information into a FileMaker structure and merge it with native accounts.
Well,
And you could provide an analytical tool.
Yeah. And if you think about it, I think the way it works is when FileMaker goes and checks whether or not you're supposed to have access, it goes and looks up the group and it gets a complete list of everybody who's in that group. And
Yeah.
then if it finds your name, then you're in, right?
No,
But-
there's an OS question that you can ask each OS, either on the Mac or the Windows, and you can say, does this person belong to this group?
But it doesn't know the person. It only
Nothing about the AD.
Oh, it doesn't know. Okay.
It does nothing.
You have to merge the data.
Oh, I see.
So basically, it just asks the question, hey, is this person in this group? And the AD comes back and goes, yeah or no.
This is why I invited Keith. So, yeah. All right.
It's been like that for decades.
Okay.
There was a plan to do, to add users as a table in a field, and then you would have certain fields like this maps to the group that they're in, this field maps to the group that they're in, this field maps to whatever, and that would connect the security model with that table, so then you could turn around and only have very simple groups in your security model in every database. And then all your users could self-add, like you're putting together an Amazon or something like that.
Yeah.
And the user comes in and they say, oh, I want to be a user. And they come in and they get added. And it's like, yep, you can do shopping cart stuff. And because you can set a default for the fields that says, they have access to a shopping cart.
I'm sorry, Keith.
Yeah.
Hey, final screenshot. I'm going to stop sharing, but this is the final screenshot for my show and tell here.
I think I have to stop sharing for you to see that.
Oh,
Are you sharing now?
No, I think people are saying it. We did a beauty contest between FileMaker native account management structure and Active Directory. If you use just a little bit of a FileMaker tool, not much, to establish roles, it does map pretty much on a one-to-one correspondence with the Active Directory structure. And then you're down to a healthy debate, pros and cons. I've heard it said that it's good to use both, just in case the Active Directory structure goes down. Anyway, so that's hopeful. Hopeful it's all recorded. I'm going to stop sharing.
All right. Anything else to say about the security? Oh, the Darren's raised his hand.
Darren's got his hands up.
Just one point that I do have a solution that at 6 a.m. every morning, IT do an export out of AD, and then we import that into a table,
I did
and
the
then we
same
do a
thing.
cross-reference.
Yeah.
So that we can then, do a combination of FileMaker and AD based. And when somebody says, oh, is this person in this group? Yeah, we have a user table. Do a sort. Now, we can't say what order they're in, but at least we're giving some data back to most people to say, yes, you are in that group. We can go from there.
fact, yeah, I used to have PowerShell access where I could actually run that myself. And then that I could actually I can't remember the plugin, but on the server, I was able to on demand get those listings so that I could find out at any moment who, people were in the right groups and all that. All right. Let's take a look at the votes. We've
Hold on,
got.
let me bump up my vote here.
Yeah, we
Oh, yeah,
lost your screen, Eric.
Huh? Can you see my screen? Oh,
We
are you
lost
still
it.
showing?
You
I'm
can
not sharing.
You can both share at the same time, and the Zoom puts in a tab at the top. You can click on your tab or click on.
Yeah, I should probably just make one person share.
I'm not sharing.
Everyone can share.
Oh, okay.
Just puts a tab UI at the top of the window.
It's good. We learned that in kindergarten.
Yeah.
But we're looking at Eric's screen right now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Eric's screen is not being shared.
Yes, it is. Oh no, whose screen am I looking at? That's Eric's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Upper
Oh,
left.
sorry, it popped to
Me.
another window.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to turn off that feature where it's just allows us multi-share. And it also
it popped to another window is what happened.
Yeah. So, all right. So we've got that was security we just discussed. Reusable layout components is next on the list.
So that's the one that I got super excited about, and then turns out that it's not my baby.
That's
On top of my list too, top 3.
That's a big feature internally. FileMaker calls that a layout within a layout.
No, well, so let's not call it who calls it, and who do you call FileMaker? Claris?
Claris.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yes and no. Because, and that's one feature that we've also been talking about and had several discussions whether they are similar or one includes the other. But like to me, when I hear about reusable layout components, I'm thinking about like creating a button bar that you can create a menu with, and then you can just clone it onto every layout that you need. And if you need to make a change, you make it in one place and it just propagates everywhere. To me, that was, this thing. And then I heard about the other part. And so, we're discussing part of this. There are bigger things. I wouldn't want to call them necessarily problems, but there are recommendations in-house that I don't know if I can talk about yet. So I'm not sure how they want to skin this cat.
Yeah.
But it seems like I may not have my paws in it, even though I put out a survey and even though I was excited about this. But there's another ticket that we have, and that's kind of, I guess, why I was confused, which is called solution-wide layout parts. And I'm like,
sounds like the same thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like we're all even internally we're confused as to like which was the larger circle, or are they overlapping, or are they? See what I'm saying? Like we have to filter this down first, I think.
Yeah.
To be able to figure it out. But for now, this one is on the roadmap. And when I say it's on the roadmap, it's on the internal roadmap for 26. What that's going to produce, I can't tell.
So the difference that I see between layout parts and layout objects is, this like 2 different layers in the stack. Right?
No, I know, but that's not what we're talking about. Whether layout parts and layout objects are the same or different. The way of skinning the cat is different.
Well, that is also true.
I
mean, there's 2 things. One. So first off, you can copy and paste script steps, fields. You cannot copy and paste layouts.
No.
That would be a good feature if you could work it in.
Well, so more like a looking glass or a portal to another world is, I think, what would be more representative of this. Like, think of it this way. You could have a card window that you cook everything up in, and then you just kind of slap that onto the layout. So you can be there, and then you can be elsewhere at the same time. So you could have 2 different sort of window elements next to each other that come from different context. That's what some of this is, I think, going towards, or that's where the request is, if I'm correct.
So, are there any workarounds to doing that now, or we just have to like reproduce everything, and if we want to change it, then we have to go through every single layout and change it?
There's a hack that you could do, Eric.
Yeah?
You could.
But which problem are you trying to solve again? Right now, the layout in the layout or the reusable elements?
Anything. I mean, it's like,
Anything?
I'm
Yeah, I
talking
mean, like,
about reusable elements.
yeah.
And Agnes, is it potentially, can it be a different context, what we're talking about? So
I
we're
think
talking
it's
about
two
being able
different-
to have something from the customer context in a layout that's, invoices or whatever.
Headers and sidebars.
Right. So exactly. So one of these tasks that, or initiatives or feature stats would be that, you could have a company portal where you can have all of their vendors and all of their invoices next to each other. I mean, why we would do that is we need to have good use cases for this, but you could have different elements from different contexts. And then the other part is the sort of like the templating. And I'm trying to separate these out, but some people say, like Wim, for example, that we could do them together.
The layout within a layout concept seemed to be a very popular response to the survey. And I'm in my mind, there's clearly two different possible implementations in general.
That's kind of where I'm stuck as well, but it doesn't mean that that's where we're going to end up.
Well, I think that's the big decision is like, do we go down this road or we go down this road? One is like a sidebar, kind of like the add-on construct type stuff with the templating, and the other is the layout within a layout. And that seemed to get a lot of votes in the discussion. And
Yep.
but, that's a little bit of a technical question.
Both of them get a lot of interest.
Maybe I'm not seeing it on here, and we don't have to go down this road if it's not. But from my perspective, one of the things that's kind of concerning about the entire FileMaker platform and the UI kind of UX is that it's not based upon what you would typically find in web development, like a grid pattern, where you're kind of limited to a file, like a part or your layout size. You can't have like columns in a layout. I mean, you can, but they're not actual columns. So
we don't have responsive design yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. The closest thing to it, I think, is the horizontal portals among the top 24 that we.
That's also on my radar.
Could you click on that?
This is exactly why I came, so I can tell you what's on my radar versus like, here's a list of things, let's just talk it through and then we don't know where they're going.
Yeah.
But just because something's on my radar and I'm excited about giving it to you guys, it doesn't mean that I'm going to be allowed to do it.
Agnes, do you have any
better story?
Yeah, just to jump in there, we are talking about two completely different things. I've got a background in print-based graphic design, as well as having a background in web development. Now, the responsive design is web development.
Yeah.
Having a master item, like we had in PageMaker, Quark Express, InDesign, that you say, this element, and let's call it the company logo, goes in the bottom left-hand corner of every single layout that we do. Then we do a 100-page booklet for that customer. Client comes back next week, make the logo 10% bigger, which is what they always say. We then make the logo 10% bigger, and it goes across 100 pages. Now, that's the master item that we've been talking about for many, many years.
Right.
To have a layout inside a layout inside a layout is a completely different concept, and it's more the iframe type web development
That's
idea.
exactly what I said as well. Thank you. And that's exactly how I explained it too, because I also have print design, and web development outside of FileMaker. So we're on the same page, at least, you and I, Darren. And I'm hoping to get everybody on the same page so we can kind of delineate a little bit. Because then we could get a better feature done if we just concentrated on one thing at a time.
Oh, so what Keith was mentioning, there was kind of some kind of hack that he said could achieve this. See, Keith still
Yeah,
there?
you have to use multiple
Windows?
windows.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking
And
the
you
same
can
thing.
you can have the window tiled down and pushed, and you'd have to use scripts that push the window to certain spots, and that way you could have one layout, and then you use the buttons on a button bar, for instance, in another window, control
Yep.
the other window.
Yeah, you just size and place all the windows. Yeah, in fact, I think Tony and I were talking about this earlier. Yeah, just put all your windows exactly where you want them, and you could make a paneled sort of solution that way.
It's quite a hack, but
And
you-
it's
you can
fragile.
move- It's what?
It's fragile, right? Because people could move it, or people could move it around. Which
No, that's the whole idea, is that they could move it around, and
Yeah.
heck, why not?
yeah, why not?
And then you could use the scripts, and you could, if they resize
Retile the
the window,
window.
reposition it, you could change the button bar from horizontal to vertical, and you
Yeah, in
could
fact,
do-
I
think
still
that-
think it's fragile. I mean, users will resize windows over windows and then not.
No, you'd have to snap
when
the window back.
Yeah.
You'd have to snap the window back. So it's like an actual application fighting back
Mm.
what users do when they have floating windows. You'd have to do the exact same things.
I've recently implemented a new menu system for the main system I work on using WebViewer, but it's a vertical menu, but it's revolutionized things for me because it means I can add all kinds of things to the menu at the drop of a hat.
Mm.
What I haven't figured out is how to do it horizontal yet because I'm not an HTML person, but that's the next.
You can have, ChatGPT nowadays help you with that.
Oh yeah, if Jeremy was here, he'd probably say, "Oh, you could do all this in the web viewer."
In 2 seconds, yeah. But the problem with that, for me at least, is that the web viewer sort of stays on top, and you cannot have, like, let's say, a menu where you have a drop down that comes out of the web viewer area.
Mhm.
So you have a limited space to be in.
Yes, the one I've implemented, it does have drop downs, but yes, it is still limited to a certain
it
certain
can
window
flow out of
space,
its own
yes.
bucket, basically. So, I mean, for this menu is one of the things that a lot of people have been talking about, that wouldn't it be great if we could finally have a universal menu in our solutions? And if we do this right, then it could do that and a lot of other things. So you could create items to your heart's content and have them in a library structure. In a way, just like you have custom functions.
On the library structure, it's definitely one of the two ways, and I would go down one road, not both. Resources. That's a longer conversation about how to implement that. I'd be interested to know which road FileMaker's going on before putting too much effort into, brainstorming on both at the same time, because I'm lazy.
Oh, by the way, this is not an anonymous poll. Just letting you know. I can actually see who voted on what. Well, you can too, actually. Which is, well, so, one of our next items was actually who was it? Oh, Figma was I think one of the next things we were going to talk about. But Vince had to step out, and he'll be back. So maybe we talk about something else before. Maybe he'll get back by the time we get to whatever Figma is.
Okay, so
How about this? Oh, go ahead.
So the reusable component, I didn't even look that it's just actually right there poking out my eyes. So I think what they're planning is to use Figma instead of, my recipe for the reusable, layout components.
Oh. Huh.
we'll see.
So
And that's what I'm
Vince,
saying. Because I thought it was my baby, and it's not my baby.
so
I'll let it go.
Eric, you're saying Vince knows about Figma. I don't know
Well, I
anything
don't
about
know if he
Figma.
know what he knows, but he voted for it. So
Okay, well, we can skip
Sorry,
around,
is
right?
it a good thing that you're exposing to everybody who's voted for what?
yeah, like I said, this is not a scientific survey.
I know Figma to some extent. I've used it. It's a very nice and a very popular app. I have some concerns about this.
Well, here, let's go to the next one. Maybe Vince will come back and he can tell us what he likes about it. But the we've
I could
got
tell you what he likes about it probably as well, but it's better to come from him.
yeah. Okay, so it's add-ons.
That's my baby.
Oh, add-ons can see configuration data persistent and streamlined update process for scaled.
Don't read that out loud. That's not in English again, I think. It is, however, not necessarily a thing that is guaranteed to make it into 26.
20. Oh, next year. Yeah.
Sorry, the next release. Yeah, whatever that. I
know, it's like
I also
26,
asked them,
that's
could we please have
four
one
versions now.
Yeah, I know. No, I'm like, can we please just have one version? And I cannot remember. And I don't think even anybody knows why they decided to have two names for them. I'm like, dude, I'm constantly getting confused.
Marketing.
Find out. Yeah.
So what we wanted to do with this, what I want to do with this is what people have been asking for is that I've installed an add-on that, let's say, James made. James came up with a new version. I'd like to be able to upgrade it and not lose any of the data that I have created with it.
Huh.
And what's important here is the underlying structure of this, that it's also XML. So it also has something to do with what we're working on towards the save as XML, the whole automated lifecycle management, and the patch tool and all of that. So we're trying to figure out what to work on first to be able to do all of this. Like people ask for versioning, right? Want to do that. Somebody just mentioned it today again to our CEO. We have the add-ons, but some people said, well, it's basically the same thing. It just looks different. So let's kind of fix what's the underlying thing is so we can make it work for everything. That's kind of current goal. If that doesn't make sense, let me know.
I'm going to chime in on that. Aggie, I said to someone at a FileMaker a number of years ago, the ability to serialize the binary file structure out to XML is kind of the gold standard. That's keys to the kingdom. You could build an entire FileMaker solution, programmatically from scratch. You could repair corruption should that ever happen.
Proper dictionary.
I'm just saying it can be done.
I
It
know.
can be done because it's text. That's what people do in, all of the different applications that save their file format instead of binary. It's
the goal
XML.
to do that as well.
Right. So I'm a huge fan of that. What I would say, and this is what I said a number of years ago at you've been around for more than 20 years cocktail party, that what I would recommend or request is that as FileMaker is implementing the various features, that they give us some more copy and paste. In my opinion, the number one productivity feature in FileMaker is the ability to copy and paste. I could list them all, but script steps, tables, fields, so forth and so on. Most recently, there was custom menus going back in time that was valueless. And I would just say, just for the record, we're being recorded, the ability to copy and paste relationship structure, table occurrences relationship would be massive. Layouts, and even privilege sets if you're feeling bold and daring,
Right.
and if you trust us.
When I bring up something like this, a lot of times I am told, sure, we can do that. Well, we either need a new file format or we need to rewrite Draco. And we cannot break. Somebody asked for a feature not long ago, and Clay said, yeah, we could do that, but we're going to break something else. And it's not always as easy. Sure, everybody would love to have copy and paste. Trust me, I would love to be able to copy and paste, table occurrences too.
Okay. I mean, if it's hard to do, then I would say don't do it.
Well, what I can do and what I have been doing is when somebody asks me something like this, I bring up the discussion. And if we're able to write a ticket from it, create a story, create a path forward, then we'll do it. But we have an incredibly long backlog. I haven't even read it. So we're kind of like trying to figure out what brings the most value to everybody out there and keeps the company afloat as well.
Yeah, but don't give up too easily. That was the whole argument with script triggers. Forever it was, we can't do it, we can't do it. Then we were told, you don't want it. And then here it is.
I'm learning that, but you know what? You have tips for me? I'm all ears.
I like that. I like that, Alexi. Don't give up. All right, I'm with Alexi on this one. I'm flipping my vote.
Yeah.
I have not given up on anything so far.
I distinctly
I made a lot of enemies.
Chris Krim told me we don't want script triggers. I'm like, dude.
Gaslighting.
Yeah, and that's why it's like we have these discussions.
Right, that they were dangerous and you could get in trouble. I'm like, well, sure, incompetence is dangerous, but a good feature is good to have. And then, of course, he did it, and it was great. So,
I see Caitlin and James voted for this one. Is there anything you guys wanted to say about that, or?
I will say that I was not aware. I mean, I never thought about updating an add-on before, because the one time I've needed to update an add-on, I went straight to the developer and said, hey, I need this feature. And they kind of just changed the compiled JavaScript for me, and I just installed it. So I've never really thought about updating an add-on. I will say that we haven't really used them that much, because from what I've seen, they are in a large solution. Performance is a problem. At least adding the add-on to the solution is kind of a crapshoot. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Okay. Do you guys have any logs, anything that can support that? Anything you can give me that I can take?
We're currently battling right now one of the rich text editor add-on.
Oh, that's the one I tried.
The config keeps getting reset. I have no idea how. It probably happens 2 or 3 times per week. We're trying to track down why it happens, but I don't know what type of logs would help you in that.
Well, the question obviously is there a problem with the add-on, or is there a problem with how the add-on is implemented?
Probably the implementation, if I'm going to be 100% honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no comment.
Yeah, because yeah.
But if you guys think that
JavaScript implementations of the rich text editor that were superior, and it's like, well, why isn't that here? So
I've asked for that too. We talked about it too. I have discussions with engineers, and I bring up a lot of things like, wouldn't it be cool if we had this? Wouldn't it be cool if we had that? And then we talk about it, and we go down the rabbit hole. And the times,
well, the whole point of the add-ons, it was supposed to be easy to change and make more add-ons and bring them on in. So
that's why it got my vote, not specifically because I've had a problem with it, but that it seemed to me that add-ons had such potential, and they haven't really, I don't think they've really actually achieved that. And I wondered whether doing this kind of work could, make them a more practical option for people.
I wish I had.
Give me ideas why you guys are not using it, don't like it. But I put a survey out as well on this. I got some information. I kind of synthesized it down. But you can always ping me and give me more that we can use here.
Agnes, I think for me, the reason why I wouldn't use add-ons is that their functionality has not been broken down far enough so they can be connected together with other add-ons and used. So as a simple example, say I wanted to push some data around. I want a simple description, get that data, store it, and I might want to make a columnar view out of it, or a chart view, or this view or that view, a summary view. I might want to do anything I want to do with that data. But the problem is you have to do it all on your own. And as a vendor, I can't just create a plugin architecture that says, here's a little piece of what you can do. And I've developed this thing, but someone else could do a chart thing or this thing or that thing. And that's what's stopping add-ons from being really, truly functional.
So it's not that they're buggy or problematic.
Well, that might be a side action. You might want them to function better, like being able to update them better. You know, like I've got version 1 of my plugin. I want to slap in version 2, and I want the same thing that Clay did to upgrade a solution, to be able to take all your data that's in place and substitute out field name changes and layout changes and whatever, and have your solution move to version 2 of your product. You want to do the same thing with the add-ons. If you leave the old add-on in place, you're stuck with the old features, and you want the new features.
The primary, I think I would say that almost exactly the same thing, where like we saw with the rich text editor, it's like, okay, this is good out of the box, but we need this. And then we're basically at that point just stuck with needing to find a JavaScript developer to build the functionality we want. Like another add-on that I would definitely expect to see out of the box that's still not there is like a table view, or something that is more performant than a list or a portal in FileMaker. But I guarantee you, like, okay, you have a table view. Well, now I want to sort it. Now I want to reorder it. Now I want to add and remove columns from it. Like that type of functionality is not going to be out of the box. And you're kind of stuck at square one. You're like, oh, that's great. But now will I need a developer to do anything?
Well, people will get you one.
Yeah, and then the styles are very, very limited too. Like any style changes, obviously, you need to know HTML, CSS to make them. So,
all right, you guys get ready for the next topic? Let's make sure we got the latest boats here. Got a ready to go standby server.
That's what we refer to as mirror server. Although I'll try to name it failover server.
Okay.
And probably Alexi could talk about the fact that we actually had something like this.
We did.
Oh, really?
Indeed, we did.
Oh, yeah.
We did.
10 years ago.
Yeah. And he went poof. Now we want it back.
And a mirror server is different than a standby server?
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying, that, like, again, terminology issues, I don't know how much of that has to do with the fact of foreigners versus other things at Claris at this point. And also to that, another question came up is that if we're going to go towards load balancing, then why do we even need this?
So a standby server is your primary server goes down, and a standby server that has received all the updates for all the records on all the tables and all the files is ready to go on another machine, and it recognizes that the first machine went down and it just takes over.
Correct.
Serving responsibility. A mirror server, or the feature that you just mentioned for replication, is a server that is always running and is always serving users, and those changes that all the users make, like one could be in China and one could be in the US, all those changes get reflected to the original database server.
Wasn't NEC showed up to one of the dev cons and they said they could do all this? Like
they're using background hacks, sending little messages to all the machines, and if one doesn't get them, then you don't have updated data.
Scary.
How many people actually have a use case for a standby server?
Big players, probably.
It's some of the bigger vendors.
So like we had when we were dealing with some of our uptime issues, we had considered using Azure Site Recovery in standby mode to do this, and we definitely went down that road. We had something functional, but there's a lot that goes into a standby server that, I mean, Claris would have to build out. Like, do you have external integrations? What's your DNS setup? Like all kinds of stuff that is kind of outside of the scope of Claris FileMaker server, or it makes me wonder, like, the time sync required to actually make this work correctly is
It was
not
working.
insignificant.
So
It was
one of the
working,
things,
and it worked for years. It was in the product. I tested it.
so we have FileMaker Cloud now, right? And for whatever probably financial, reasons, that gets a lot of new features first, and then it comes out to everybody else.
Ah,
Right. So there
the other way
are.
around. Used to be the other way around.
Yeah, well, things change.
Yeah.
I used to be younger too. So that's got benefits and pros and cons. I think it's a huge benefit that they get to test it out. And once it's fully baked, or at least 70% baked, then, we bring it somewhere else. The other thing is that at least this way we might be able to toy with more ideas. And server and cloud share resources and product management. So it's an interesting concept because I turns out that I have another boss who's not really my boss, but she's the person above me in the FileMaker and cloud realm who's responsible for the feature prioritization. We're talking about things, we're doing it together, we listen to each other, but ultimately she's responsible. And she's got her own ideas, and I'm hoping that we can benefit from them. So I'm working on that.
This one doesn't seem like a really good candidate for cloud.
Well,
It seems to me that cloud is not, the target market is not enterprise level.
Well, and then there's another thing that basically I heard Ryan say, that we don't even want to care about enterprise. We are an SMB focused company.
Yeah, remember WIP, Workplace Innovation Platform.
Oh, right. Well, there's shit ton of fantasy names. Excuse my language. Oops. But the question is, if I ask you guys, would you want us to concentrate on creating a failover server? Let's just call it that. Or would you want us to rather work on a way to basically pop up as many servers as you need to be able to load balance?
Load balance.
Load balance.
Wim's gonna kill you.
So,
But I'll stand by you.
so I like this feature. It sounds good. I appreciate that I don't understand the nuance between the different kinds of standby server. I will say I'm a big believer in, like, if you can accomplish two things at once or multiple things at once.
Yeah.
One of the features that would be applicable to a large customer base is the roll forward, roll back. So if you're transferring, and once again, I don't know the technical implementation. Let me finish.
Ask down.
Let me finish, please. I don't know the details of the technical implementation. What I would say, that if you could simultaneously be writing out to a log file to create a structure that would enable you to roll back, roll forward, as other platforms can do, that would be applicable to people who don't want to purchase twice as much hardware. Because sometimes we get pushback. Like, I'm always like, hey, haven't it? Well, anyway, that's my 2 cents. But carry on.
Roll back is a relational database feature. It's not a, serve more people type of feature.
Absolutely not. Yeah, not the load balancing thing.
It's not a load balancing
Right
thing.
back.
And load balancing could be used locally, or it could be used as a mirror, as in another country. So you could have a server in another country that's getting database changes and posting them to the US version of the file. Less traffic, more organized traffic to the US, as opposed to 1,000 users trying to attach to the US from another country and trying to do those changes. It would be a better implementation. But
Well,
these features, standby, is a totally different feature than the replication of other servers, either for fallback purposes or for hosting purposes or adding more users.
and I'm sure you're getting Wim's opinion on this, right?
I'm trying to get Wim's opinion on everything to make sure that we're on the same page. And while sometimes we may not be, we agreed that we'll find a way to move forward in an amicable fashion. By the way, I just looked at something and I thought this did not go out in the survey that way, but there's a huge, not typo, but the wrong word choice in 1, 2, 3 lines down. I can't talk about the AI functions at all because that's not my baby. That's completely a Ronnie thing. So I don't want to talk about those. But the next thing down the line is the automated cloud backup and restoration service, not based.
You want to do that before the AI stuff, or wants to do the AI? Go ahead and go.
So I'm gonna have to go soon, guys.
Oh,
So
okay. Well, let's get yeah. Since you
pick my brains, then let's talk about the things that I can help.
Yes, please.
Can I interject for one second? Why? Why does Wim keep coming up? I mean, he's awesome, but
he's also a contractor. He's just so I'm contracting through a third-party company, and he's contracting through Sciliant. He is spending 20 hours basically for us and 20 hours for Sciliant.
And by us, you mean
even though
sorry,
he's
Claris. Yes.
Okay. So you're contracting with Claris, and so is he.
Correct.
Okay. Because I was going to say, did he change positions and I didn't hear about it? But okay.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he's like a god as far as I'm concerned, so it's fine.
I thought Wim retired.
What?
No.
That's a joke. He'll never retire.
Steve Lane did retire, though.
He did, but
Yeah.
for like 5 minutes.
We have quite a few new product managers.
Oh.
Mhm.
Well, as long as that doesn't eat into the actual.
No, we have no engineers. What you talking about, Willis?
Okay.
No, we're gonna teach the product managers to code with AI. That's the plan, and then they're gonna
Learn to code.
Yeah.
right. Who needs
Can we
engineers
make fun
for
of
code?
AI before we go on?
No,
Oh,
I
no,
don't.
okay, let's get her to cover the automated cloud base, and she's leaving soon, I
So
think.
that's a Sangeeta thing. But we talked about it, and we support her with Wim, and we also thought that as well as the what did we just talk about previously? The server, the
server, yeah.
failover server thing. Oh, it
Yeah.
changed color. Okay. The failover server and the backup, according to Sangeeta, we could both sell them under the same umbrella. So that's what we're trying to aim for towards management. That like, here are two things that we could do kind of sort of together with, minimize engineering effort. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know how that works, but we'll see. They both are server based. So I guess maybe there's some overlap. I'm not convinced, but I don't need to be convinced. As long as she's convinced and she'll push for it, we're good to go. Because then we're going to get these two things instead of just, right? But it's basically offering people a backup service in server to choose their favorite backup location. I know we talked about Dropbox and maybe box.com and something else. I talked this over with Giuliano a while ago and expressed to him that no matter what we do, we have to make sure that people don't open these files from those locations and host them from there, yada, yada. But it's just going to be like, do you want to have your own control over your own files? You can do it now with that service in cloud. Sorry, not cloud, but like in the FileMaker server. And that's something that they are definitely working on in cloud first, being tested. I've actually seen that, configurable. They're working on it. So I'm hoping that they will iron all the glitches out and then we can have it.
Here comes Vince. Maybe we can do the Figma.
So the cloud-based backup, users can do that today on their own. You just pause and resume and do a file copy.
Well, of course, yeah, but this would be a lot easier and a lot more managed.
It's a checkbox is what you're talking about that does it for
No,
you.
but okay. Vince?
Hey, Vince, we were waiting
Yeah.
for you because you're
Sorry. What's
domain
going on?
expert in Figma. You
Oh
want-
yeah, right. I'm a
Eric,
domain
Eric
expert
said
in
we can't
Figma.
talk about Figma unless Vince is here.
Who said I'm an expert in Figma?
I'll start. What the hell is Figma?
Oh, okay.
Mercuria is an expert in Figma. He's not here though.
Who's an expert?
Mercuria, he's one of our designers at Beeswax. And
Well, I've
Eric-
used, Figma before. It's, it's cool, but
What is
they
it?
want to hear it from you, not me. So you go first.
Who, me?
Yeah, you. Why do you want Figma in FileMaker?
Well, I mean, I work with a designer and they build their designs, and then we're supposed to use that to create the styles and all this according to their designs. And so if you shortcut that and FileMaker is able to read the Figma details or whatever, then it could save me a lot of work.
So wait,
Because-
Figma a standard or what is it?
Oh yeah, that's a.
It's an
I mean,
online software.
It's what a lot of designers
Right,
use to
it's like
build
Sketch
websites.
or whatever, right?
What?
It's like Sketch.
Yes, it's just online.
Is it
Yeah.
a paid for service or?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And they just had a Figma conference kickoff. I think it was today. There was a keynote, and if you want to learn more about it, you can just look up Figma config conference or something like that.
I just did
So just sorry to dumb it down in 2 seconds, if that's all right. You can basically create a button, and then that it will be your master, and then you can clone that button. And if you change the master's, text style or coloring, all the children or all the clones, will inherit it.
Doesn't it already work that way though? With styles?
I mean, I mean,
what?
there's a lot of things missing in the CSS that
Oh, yeah. No,
if it go down that conversation, it's like
that's not a normal CSS, partially because we have many, many more. That was a conversation I had yesterday just about CSS.
yeah. I mean,
Question
honestly,
is more about like there's two things. So I worked on a big project. We were using Sketch, not Figma, but the issues are similar. One is where you have non-FileMaker design people. So they're using a tool that's not FileMaker. We'll call it Figma for the sake of argument here. And then you want to be able to easily transpose the design work they did into FileMaker. And then, like, as a developer, on this particular project, it had to be like pixel perfect. And it drove me nuts because pushing pixels around on layouts is my least favorite FileMaker exercise. I would much rather write scripts and calculations all day long. And so trying to figure out, how many pixels were between this and that in the Sketch thing, and then do that, replicate that exactly in FileMaker. I had to buy another monitor. I was at 400% zoom the whole time, and
And you have to buy an app that can actually do that called X. Oh my God, what is it called? X something, because I've done that too.
Yeah. And so I just felt like I spent a lot of time, and I really would have paid a lot of money if I had just been able to take the Sketch thing or Figma thing and like import it and create a layout.
Yeah,
In
so,
the most simplistic terms, right? I mean that.
so Figma on the web is described as a collaborative based web design tool.
Can I just jump in here on this one? From an interface point of view, a lot of web development is not done in the code. As FileMaker developers, we jump into FileMaker and we start doing a layout. And that's not the normal method. As Vince mentioned, Mercurial will work in Figma. He will get the design ready. There'll be no FileMaker code underneath because the design he's doing might even be used across websites, FileMaker, or even native apps. So you build your interface in Figma. The goal is to then take that as a import list, like the old video days where we used to be able to do an edit list and bring it across, that the design can move from Figma to FileMaker. Now, this is not unlike the vibe coding, whereas FileMaker developers, we don't have a way of saying, ChatGTP, go and write me the script, and then bring it into FileMaker.
Yeah, we do.
So, at the moment.
I made it for you guys. You just don't use it. It's out there.
Yeah.
But
so,
that's
I'm
kind of
talking
like
from a concept point of view. Interface outside of FileMaker itself, you are not opening up your inspector palettes and putting things on a layout and then saying to a client, how do you like this? You are doing it in Figma and then bringing it into FileMaker, like we're talking about using AI code. So that's the concept of using Figma or Sketch or Adobe XD, any of those packages, depending on what it is. You are taking some raw JavaScript or XML or whatever format it is, and then saying to FileMaker, this is the layout objects, put them on the layout for me.
I'll say that if the biggest concern for me in this feature is FileMaker has a lot of work to do in making FileMaker layouts like a web developer want to build a FileMaker layout, because there's obviously a lot that you can do in web design that you can't do in FileMaker. And Figma is really designed around web development, not FileMaker development. So I'm not sure how you would get around the hurdles of building a web layout inside of FileMaker if you don't use a grid system, if you don't use the standard kind of DOM model that web development kind of expects behind the scenes. If anybody is curious, I've got some mock-ups I can show you guys in Figma if you've never seen it before. I don't know if it's worth taking time out of this meeting just to quickly show you guys.
Anybody else want to see that?
Yeah. The other thing to consider is we are talking very much about FileMaker right now, where what we're going to be doing in Studio is going to be completely different when we're talking about interface design. And so if we're talking Studio, then Figma fits right in.
So this is a portal that we built with FM Better Forms, but basically these are my mock-ups in Figma that we went through design iteration with the designer, where you can basically go in and design your layouts, design workflows for using test data and mock-up data. All of the elements are clickable. You can move them around. All of the styles are centrally managed. If you could import design files from Figma into FileMaker, this would be game changing. Like, you would save so much time as a FileMaker developer building UI layouts. I mean, you'd be able to outsource this to an actual UI UX person. And I speak for myself personally.
Thing in FileMaker?
It would be really cool. And I suck at UI UX. There's people that are way better out there than I am. And I don't know, there's a lot of FileMaker developers that aren't great at it, I've noticed. I don't know if it's a FileMaker thing or whatever, but I mean, if we could hire a UX person to build something and just import it into FileMaker, like, that would be amazing.
Well, you don't like my roadmap warrior interface here?
So
I wasn't going to say anything.
I think that is sort of where they would like to go with this. How that's going to work. Again, none of this is my babies. None of these are my babies. I think the concept itself is fantastic. How it gets executed is going to make it or break it. But my question is, aside from this part, is that if you guys get this, and let's say that it's pretty darn perfect, do you still need reusable layout components or templating in FileMaker?
Yes, yes. In fact,
Because that's what I
they're
was
a good
told.
combo, right?
But
Yes.
that's what I was told, that this is going to replace that.
I don't know how you do that without having reusable layout components in the traditional
But they didn't
sense.
ask me, they didn't ask you. They just said like, oh, we're just going to do this. And I'm like, okay.
It's not the same
I
thing.
think I wouldn't poo-poo Figma. And basically, Figma is an important idea by itself, but the layout within a layout idea is about 20 times more important.
Yeah, because all the current FileMaker users would use reusable elements if it was available. I don't know if everybody would.
Your
Get
development
Figma.
time on layout within a layout would be 100 times faster.
Right, but I still refer to the templating, not the layout in the layout when we're talking about this.
Yeah, and I think the
think
Figma
both-
users would definitely use the reusable elements. I mean, even more so probably.
I just wanted to get confirmation so I can bring this in and say like, this is what our users and developers are saying, right? Because then it's not my opinion, it's your.
I mean, I'll push back on the Figma. I think I'm watching all the code generation conversations that have percolated up recently. This Figma thing looks a little bit like Balsamic, which I never adapted because it seemed like doing the same work twice. I think one of the challenges in automating FileMaker code, which is very much, artificial intelligence, so forth and so on. A lot of presentations on that topic. One of the challenges is context. Like, say you do Figma, right? And ultimately is like, that would be great if when you put the Figma onto the layout, it knew the context. And by context, I mean the layout table occurrence, if you're using Anchor Buoy, which you should be.
That's
field
a development
names.
problem. That let the engineers figure out that part.
Well, then that's what I would need, because otherwise it's useless.
Yeah, I know. I know.
That's the
I
feedback.
relay what I can, except this one is being run by a designer, not a developer. But to answer your question based on, so why Sketch, Balsamic mockups, and Figma are important. And I was the one who introduced Balsamic mockups to us, to the community. I don't know if you were there when I presented on that. In New York, I was a beta tester for them, and I was happy as a clam when I got that, because now I could cook up what I envisioned based on the documentation that I got from a client, what their app will do and how it will look and function. So here's your UX, because the UI doesn't really matter in Balsamic mockups because it's just all, fugly. Child's play, you name it. But it will tell you that, like, if you click on this, you're going to end up on this. We're going to have a pop-up. You're going to see this in it. You can click on this. You can add that more, whatever. There's your process. And then I would take that to the client and we would work on it until they say, okay, this is good, build it. And then I would make them sign every page. And then they can't say, that's not what I asked for. So that's kind of where these tools come in.
I see Caitlin has her hand up.
Worked like a charm.
Oh, I mean, I guess just my feedback is it seems like that, using prioritizing that over building functionality into FileMaker, much like Claris Studio, it seems to me, kind of undermining the functionality of the FileMaker product itself. If we're kind of going to rely on external software and then we're going to integrate with that, that's useful, but to do that in preference over adding functionality like reusable sort of parts, etc. I don't know. It just seems to me that's a way of making FileMaker redundant eventually.
Unfortunately, our vote actually has reusable layout components higher, so hopefully that's what.
Just to add to that, we're trying to move FileMaker into the modern age. Some of the layout tools are straight from McPaint in 1998. Honestly, we only just got rid of the brick fill for an element. So we are trying to move ourselves in holding on to the history moving forward. For me, one of the key components that it's missing is the update tool to say, I've made these changes to my dev version, push them out to live. Now, if we're talking about saying, I have a new Figma design, push it into my dev version. I have some new code that's been created, push it into my dev version. I have a code that has, or functions or elements within an add-on, push it into my new system. Now, part of that is we're talking about logging these things to keep track of what they're doing, but we're saying I'm no longer going onto a layout and changing this button 72 times because it appears across all the different layouts 72 times. And I'm not doing it on the live server. I'm doing it somewhere else and I want to push it up. Our current method is still locked into one button, one change across 72 layouts, whether it's the appearance, the functionality, or how it integrates with external sources. We want to be able to template, modernize what we're doing, to drag FileMaker and the classic platform into a world that what I'm starting to see is very much what we're getting with Studio and to some degree Connect. Modulating the code to be able to have an object that its underlying smarts can be systematically updated through the whole system. So that's where we seem to be moving, and each one of these items could be categorized or even valued as to how much it's going to give us that point. Historically, we've also made sure that old functions still work, you know, that you can still go and do things the old way. We might need to let go of that. We may not forget to go away from the idea that this is low code. You know, FileMaker's not been low code for a long time. So we are working on a modulated function, whether it's interface, functionality, add-ons, or all these other sort of things. That's what I'm, in my head, is all getting tied together.
Maybe it would be good to put out a survey to ask people that if you're gonna get some of these newer features that will bring us to this day and age, would you be willing to let go of backwards compatibility? Because this is also a discussion that comes up, and yeah, I get pushbacks that like, okay, but then we can't be backwards compatible. And I'm like, why do we always want to be backwards compatible?
You got to let go at some point.
You got to let go at some point, right?
And there are certain key functions that as developers, we need to be able to do. We need to be able to build a JSON block. We need to be able to do that. We need to be able to make an API call to an external source, you know, and those skills, we need to move forward with those. We can't hold on to the old ways that FileMaker is a silo and not talking to anything else as well. You know, these are some of the things that we need to extend out the knowledge. And as FileMaker developers, we can't sit on the functions and the tools that we used 10 years ago. You know, we've got to move forward. That's what's holding us back. That's my 2 cents.
I think a lot of us have, you know, dabbled with a little bit of web development, a little bit of design. You know, we you know, some of us are better at scripting. Some of us are better at calculations. Some people never cared about UI. I always cared about UI. I try to minimize the steps as well that people have to take from A to Z to, you know, to get there. But I think part of this is education. Part of it is that we have tons of people on older versions, and I have statistics now. I started building statistics out, getting, you know, more information out of server so we can at least have an idea of you know, what's what. And then I saw that they are putting out a webinar to try to get people upgrade. Yeah, because they learned that we have people on 17, 18, and mostly on 19.
Yeah. I'm still working with a client who's on 19. And part of the problem is because the way it was built, it won't run in 21. There's a whole lot of technologies that it was calling out that it doesn't work. We are essentially full stack developers as Claris FileMaker developers. And we may need to let go of that a little bit. I worked with Vince. I went with Mercuria. Mercuria is a brilliant design. If you get a chance to watch his session that he's done at Engage, I haven't seen it, but I know it'll be brilliant, and it will take us to the next level. But yeah, we are trying to be full stack, and that takes a lot of time to spend on your skill set, and it's going to expand out even more.
But I think that's the only way we can survive.
Isn't that our difference?
I just wanted to add to what Darren was saying, but it's a really crazy time, because as we sit here arguing about this or that, free version of FileMaker, Figma, whatever, the whole software industry is being upended by AI coming in, and I don't know. I mean, I follow this one YouTuber. His name is Matthew Berman, and it's always talking, but doing top podcasts about AI and this and that. And he did one recently where he listened to the meeting between Mark Zuckerberg and Satya Nadella, and it's really going to be very different, the technology stack that we're going to work with in the future. So think of it this way. I mean, as AI continues to develop, the foundation layer is going to be like a database, which is going to hold all the data. And then on top of that is going to be like tools and agents. And then on top of that is the humans who ask for what they want. And so think of like, as we think of like, I'm going to generate a statement for, a statement for a client that is a report that you generate, and you build the layout for it and you run it, etc. In the future, you won't even have the layout. You'll just say, give me a report billing for this, and the agent will find that tool, and we'll have the prompt information, and we'll have examples instructing it how to make it look, etc. And it'll bring it all together with whatever styling you tell it, and it'll generate it and pull the data, generate it real time, and it's completely kind of like disposable. You consume it, and then it evaporates, just like.
It's not necessarily the best for warehousing.
Yeah, I mean, it's then your data is just your data. Your data is just
Right.
there, and your data is just a repository of data that you manage, and I don't know what interface you end up having to interact with it, etc. But I mean, I'll post the recording. I'll post a link to it. You guys can listen to it if you want. But to me, I mean, this industry is moving very quickly. And 5 years is a long time. And ChatGPT has only been out 2.5. But, where we'll be in a year or two from now, it's just unbelievable, So
If it goes well, I'm gonna put that up there. That there is an if there, Vince. I've watched and dabbled quite a lot with AI in the last year, and I have built somewhere between 5 and 10 web applications, or tried to build, with AI. And to me, in a way, it's like a child assistant that it'll get certain things right, but then you ask one more thing, and then it's gonna mess everything up.
yeah.
That's what happened to me so many times, that I just don't think it's there yet that we can actually really rely on it. For an assistant to look something up for you, or to define this word versus this word, or find me synonyms, it's great for a lot of things. But I tried Replit, I tried Vercel, I tried Claude, I tried almost, I think, every one of them that I could get my hands on, and they all fail at some point. Now,
I hear you, and people have those arguments to say, it's not good enough, whatever. However, if you just step back and I use my kids as a barometer. So you just step back, and my kids 5 years ago doing their homework, go to Google and find something, whatever, you know. Now these days they open up ChatGPT, they ask questions. They're getting, I tell them, if you're going to use it, don't ask for the answer. I say, you're going to use it, ask to help you understand how to get the answer. So they ask it like, can you show me how to do this? And, it is mind blowing.
That's brilliant.
That it can you can take a picture and say, here's my math problem. Can you explain to me what I have to do here? The fact that like it can do that is just it just
can probably do it better than you can.
No, but I mean the
Not you,
fact
but
that
the
it
parent.
can the fact that it can read the image, interpret the image, and understand what the problem is, and start like basically it's like you have a person sitting right next to you. I mean, just that is a mind-blowing
that it's a great
achievement.
assistant, a teenage
Yeah.
assistant, somebody who can, run to the store, buy your groceries, do a lot of things. Just make sure that it's not going to mix up lemons with oranges.
It's like having an assistant who's on drugs, because
Yeah,
it does
a little bit.
sometimes hallucinate.
Yeah, I mean, I keep telling it not hallucinate, and you keep having to write longer and longer prompts to be able to get something out of it. I'm still a new adopter. I'm excited. It's fun. It's tons of fun. Would I bet my life on it right now? Probably not.
That
That may
but
be
we've
me
got
aging. I don't know. I keep having these conversations, and even at work we have this. And Ryan and Giuliano asked everybody, like, are you guys using AI? Because if you're not, you should be using AI for all your work. And we're like, and I'm like,
That's
I have
not true.
All your work.
but Google's telling us that 80% of their code's coming from an AI agent or Copilot
Untouched.
from that point of view. This is where you come down to you prototype it, you get the basis of it, you get the foundations. I've been using it to try and find tools and talking even on a particular issue, looking at the best way to soft shut down a FileMaker server before the UPS kicks in. I put that into ChatGPT. It said, right, go to the FileMaker server admin, go to the general tool, and go to the shutdown tab. I've never seen a shutdown tab in general in FileMaker server.
It's a liar.
Well, because you're not using my GPT that I spent tons of time crafting for you guys, so you can.
That's FM Mentor for anyone who's looking for it. That's the one.
Yep.
So
Then I built a web
AI
app which didn't work properly, but sorry. So
AI gives you probabilistic results instead of deterministic results. So if all you want is an answer that is sometimes
correct,
often correct and often catastrophically wrong and destroys your business, so you all go bankrupt, then AI is awesome.
I mean,
That's not
look at
entirely
this
true.
list. Look at this list that we're just looking at. Somebody at Claris used AI and wrote that automated cloud-based and restoration service for on-prem FileMaker solution, and nobody checked that this is. I mean, yeah, eventually somebody checked, but everybody, everything has to be checked to make sure that
intelligence.
And a human is still needed to double check things. But when I'm coding with AI, and it just messes something up, and then I keep telling it to fix that, and then it keeps. It's like you build a car. Right? Tell AI, I want you to build me a car, and it builds you a fantastic BMW, and then you say, like, can we put beefier tires on it? And then it becomes a bicycle.
So did AI come up with all these weird capitalizations, like some sentenced case and others?
Probably.
So while we're on the topic of AI, and in the spirit of bringing a little New York energy to the conversation, I would say two things about the AI calculation. I'm not convinced that calculations are that difficult to write. And I would say that the function library, if it was expanded and somewhat standardized, what are the odds you get people to agree on that? But I don't see that as a big problem. And scripting, I think, and I put it in the chat, the problem with trying to programmatically generate scripts, there's two problems. One, if you try and get AI to write your scripts, it's complicated. It's a little bit of a circuitous route, and context. Because most of the scripts, if you look at the underlying XML, they contain context in the form of layouts, in the form of fields, and I guess in the form of subscripts that you're calling. So that would be the direction that you would need to go in, where AI had more knowledge about your system. And that means about your specific system. You know, what are your field names? What are your layout names? And so forth and so on. I like the other features though.
Yeah, I figured I know I only gave these like one vote each myself, just because I don't know. I think it's moved. I think it helps move FileMaker in the right direction to start bringing in AI so that it can do things for us in it. But yeah, I don't know where I stand on it yet.
I would take code snippets over AI scripting.
I used AI to write C, C++, and Swift code, and it 95% of the time works. It's actually really good at it, but it doesn't have enough context about FileMaker at this point to actually be useful. It dreams up functionality that doesn't exist in FileMaker. It writes stuff that flat out doesn't work in FileMaker.
Yeah, it makes up functions and script steps that don't exist.
And it doesn't divide it up in a coding way that you might expect. It writes these monolithic scripts.
But that depends on your prompt, right? If you tell it that I don't want you to write me something, I'm gonna have to go inside. It's very not loud here. But if you tell it that, like, you know, I need you to cap it at like that many characters or lines or whatever, then it will follow those instructions. It's very good at following clear instructions. It's just you don't always know what you don't know, especially when you're programming in a language that you have not dabbled into.
All I'm saying is it's at a very basic new state with FileMaker, whereas it's quite mature for some of the other languages.
So I did like how FileMaker or Claris introduced semantic search and LLMs, because we were basically the stewards of the data that were being searched, and we kind of own the process of implementing and searching that data. What it's kind of seems like with the AI script assistant and the AI calculation builder is that Claris is afraid of, like, if they don't have an AI, everybody's doing AI now. And it kind of seems like that's somebody at Claris is like, oh, we need our own AI as well. And yeah, it's just,
that is.
Yeah, to Tony's point, like, it might work out. Well, I'm not a huge fan of AI, but the more I become familiar with what it's actually doing and how it's working and where it sucks and what it excels at, it's like, it's not a catch-all solution. It's not a magic solution. It sure seems like magic if you don't know what's happening behind the scenes, but if there's no context, if there's
it's applied as a magic solution, not offered as a magic solution. And that's the distinction for me. That, you know, you are right. Somebody decided that, like, we need to have this and we need to have this yesterday and it's going to be everywhere and it's going to be great. And we hired another product manager just for that. Pretty polite. And, you know, I think it can be really useful for people. But just like Vince said, and that's sort of why I started doing the whole chat GPT, the GPT part of the FileMaker GPT FM Mentor, is so you can ask, like, how do I start a new project? How would I go about this and that? And, you know, I give it enough resources so it will have minimal hallucinations compared to a lot of other tools. And I've had a lot of friends test it. And it's pretty popular. It's used in a lot of other countries as well. But is it perfect? Absolutely not. If I find something wrong with it, I go and fine-tune it a little bit to make sure that next time it's not going to make the same mistakes. Hello, David. You have a hand up there.
I think that where Claris could do something really good here is if they perhaps train a model specifically on information about FileMaker, that would help quite a bit. And so that way we don't have as much in the way of hallucinations, because I've seen that too, where it makes up functions that don't exist in FileMaker. So if they train a model and say, here's a bunch of data about FileMaker so that it knows what FileMaker is, it knows what the functions are, that'll help a lot. And of course, if it's writing a script, let's say you're in the script workspace, then it could potentially know about the context. I mean, if it's, if you've set, go to layout, as, the first part of the script, it could use that information as far as when it's building, code for that script to add to an existing script. So those are potentially good things that they could do.
The make or break feature would be context. Like if I can go to Cursor right now and I can feed in the Claris help docs to it, and I can set constraints so that it's not going to hallucinate outside of what's in those help docs. I can get that type of AI assistant. I mean, not like super streamlined, but it's going to be functional to the point where I know it can write pseudocode that's going to do what it needs to do. But the context of the FileMaker solution is the make or break kind of like, if this works with context, great. If it doesn't, then I don't really see the point.
So that was the other question that I asked when I started working here from Ronnie. Is it going to work? Is it going to do the actual FileMaker thing? So are we going to make sure that what it generates is going to be validated? And he said yes.
Yeah, I think that's key, because one of the things that I have found is the Anthropic Claude models are the only ones that I have been able to get that can successfully create FileMaker XML scripts, or the script XML that I can actually paste onto the clipboard and into FileMaker. Now it's not perfect, but it's the only one that's come close.
That I have also built in, that it can create you XML that you can, put in.
Yeah.
Because I think that's something that Christian can already do with his plugin. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to, unfortunately, I sort of stopped working on all this when I started working at Claris. I don't have time for everything. If you guys still want it, I can go back and spend some, time on it. But Darren asked, what the link. And so I have fm.coach out there. I got the domain for it. And it is using the same, GPT. The only problem is that whatever you guys do, I'm paying for. So please be mindful of that right now, because I have not had time to figure out a structure where you can pay for your own usage. So please don't bankrupt me, because I will have to shut it down. Right. Thank you. It's more like experimentation and light, usage.
Is that fmcoach.com or?
No, it's fm.coach. I try to make it as simple as possible. But the fm.coach is broken. AKA, you will ask a question and it will start giving you an answer, and it goes like, and they are like, hello. Nope. So I'm going to try to fix that problem, hopefully. But the data and the training comes from the FM Mentor GPT that I created maybe a year ago. So
you created a custom trained model, is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
I gave it a lot of resources.
Right.
That I use or we can use, and I also keep telling it to make sure that it's using it's giving us answers that will definitely work in FileMaker.
Mm-hmm.
But it can give you, so it knows that we also use JavaScript in FileMaker. We know JSON. I gave it SQL information too, so we can kind of combine these things.
Huh. So the link that you put in the chat, that's the one.
The one that says checkgpt.com, that's the original one.
Oh, okay.
The other link, the fm.coach, I'd rather not like put it out there yet because it's broken and it's shameful, but we'll get there.
Okay. Is there a way to take all that training that you gave it and encapsulate it so somebody else can put it into their paid for?
Sure. Give me $1 million, I'll give it to you.
Oh, I see.
But yeah, some of this conversation.
I know
came up
people have
because-
already asked me like, so what's
Yeah.
the recipe? No, it's locked down.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
I put a lot of work into this and I'm not making a penny, but at least I don't want it to be stolen. That's all. Sorry.
Understandable.
Sorry.
But we do have this expectation as developers that someone's going to give us a ChatGPT interface where we can say, write me a script that can PDF an invoice and write me an email to then send to the client. Now, it should come back and say, okay, give me the table name, give me the layout name, give me the field that the email address is in, or it has temporary text for those areas in the XML that you then copy, click the copy button, which I saw a video Todd was doing where he had a FM XML button at the top right of his chat window so that he could copy that in the XML format, and that's what we're looking for. And then when you paste it into your FileMaker solution, you have the errors. Oh, what layout should this switch to? What field should the email address come to? That's the 80-20 rule of Google saying 80% of their code's been written by AI. And it's going to save us a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of heartaches. And
But
yeah, we're going to get some
Ronnie's Ronnie is working on these.
Yep.
We are again trying to figure out what to do. Do we do calculations or scripting? Because we can't do both. And I think several people that I talked to said like scripting would be best, for now. That's a largely requested direction versus calculations, which I'm happy about because that shows that less people are writing large calculations and more people are scripting.
And ChatGPT can just dream up calculations.
Oh, it can.
Even though they might be a little wrong, they'll be 90% there.
But to answer to follow with Darren's notion here, I really would like to get to the point as well where you could say that here's the workflow that I'd like to achieve, and ChatGPT is going to come back, or AI in FileMaker is going to come back and say, okay, so I can do this and this natively, but if you want to be able to, let's say, send an email, you might want to get this plugin or that plugin. Would you like me to tell you the differences or which one's cheaper to buy?
Yeah, but also, if it does hallucinate a script step, you paste it into Claris FileMaker, it's just going to say this step doesn't exist. It's either going to go bum bum, or it's going to
they will figure that part out.
It'll filter it through. That doesn't exist. Take that out. But it's the idea of getting that raw XML.
It would be best if it didn't give you anything that you could not use, right? But baby steps. That's, I think it's going to be cool. I am a fan of AI. I just don't think it is the catch-all. I just don't think it's there yet.
Yeah, and there's a big, huge difference here. The way that you optimize code is different than C or C++. A FileMaker calculation is written differently for optimization purposes. And we've been doing those for years, and we understand how to optimize the calc so that way it performs better or it does a better result. And it's going to take a long time before Chat.
But we also have that with AI at the moment. Like, let's just say I'm going to write a blog post. I have a dozen blog posts that I have written without AI. If I was going to use AI to write a new blog post, I would say, go and learn about my writing style. Right. Here is the 12 links that I have. Now produce a blog post with my writing style. And it will come back to something that looks like I've written it. Same with scripting. Here is my existing scripting method and style. Here are the key functions that I want you to take into those scripts. apply that to some new scripts you've written for me, and come back.
AI doesn't do that yet. You have to verbally describe, not verbally, but you have to describe your style as short or terse or whatever.
I've asked our IO to come back to me with my writing methods. I said, give me 3 paragraphs to explain my writing method for my blog post.
Yeah, that's
and it came back, and gave me those styles. Then I said, write me a new blog post about this subject from this URL using those methods, and it came back. Now, it doesn't
do that for code yet.
That's what I'm saying.
It does
that's
that for
what I'm
writing.
saying. That's the next step. That's the next step.
Yep. And every language is different. The way that you write in FileMaker is different than C or C++.
It depends. I've seen people write FileMaker like they do in C++, and I was getting,
I know, but that's not. I used to be the receiver of all the databases that needed to be recovered at FileMaker, and I've seen so much stuff all over the place. So it's going to be a while.
I mean, I would love if we would use, not necessarily us, but like your average citizen developer out there, use AI to teach them concepts, to make them into a good developer, if not a great developer, as opposed to just doing the work for them just so they can roll something out in 2 seconds and claim fame. But that's not just how the world works.
There's a danger with AI. AI basically looks at pre-existing ideas, which may or may not be correct.
Right.
And I think it's in the course of human evolution, this would be a little philosophical here. It's not the information that preceded, which is often wrong. It's the inspiration of, new ways. Like we did things wrong, let's say, there's a method of managing the relationship graph, which maybe it seemed like a brilliant idea at the time. Maybe it was unified. Maybe it was, whatever. And then maybe people came up with a better idea. So AI is only going to look back in history and often give you the wrong answers. Not a big fan of AI. I just want to say once again, context is king. The FileMaker scripts are like a completely different animal than any of the text-based languages. Just to Keith's point, if you go with SQL or JavaScript or Python or any of the text-based languages that are often object-oriented in their nature, those are just massively different than FileMaker.
Yeah,
it's just different. So if you bring that to FileMaker, it's just not going to work well. You need inputs.
And the default coding for all the AI stuff is they'll give you a web page that will work, but it won't be optimized. So it won't collapse into CSS and it won't collapse down further into something else. So it will probably write a 200-line thing when you could probably do the same thing in 5 lines if you use the CSS features and additional features to collapse it down into something that's very small, tiny, and neat.
So the takeaway is that none of us are going away yet.
Yeah, it's going to be a while.
It's going to be a while.
Yeah.
It's going to be a while before it gets.
It's going to be a while.
But towards Tony's point, that's the prompt engineer role that we have to play. You do need to say, write me a script. Right. Now rewrite that script with some error checking. No, error check this. Now give me some comments. Now look at this script that I've written over here. I want it to work in that sort of functionality.
It's a conversation.
Yeah.
It's got to be a conversation. And I highly recommend that if you guys haven't yet, take a prompt engineering course.
So let me push back a little bit, do my New York thing. In 2011, I had a product called Script Building Blocks. My first run at code generation when FileMaker shipped that awesome feature in 2011 was I would do like a monolithic script, kitchen sink. And then I sort of said, well, that's kind of ridiculous because it's a kitchen sink. And I moved towards script building blocks. Now, in terms of context, because 80 to 90% of the code that I'm writing these days, or some 85%, is code generated. And it's code generated based on inputs. And the inputs are, if I look at my scripts, I have a tremendous number, I'm sure we all do. Set field, very popular. Set variable from a field, also very popular. Go to layout, GTRR. All of those things involve context. So in order to do those efficiently, you need inputs. And you're not going to get them from ChatGTP.
Well, I got to
So
drop
what
off for dinner, so.
what I would say, just to spin it positive, sorry, James, just 1 second. What I would just say is that if I was going to, you know, make a wish for a feature, I would say it would be nice if FileMaker gave us the ability to abstract strings from layout objects. If I right click on a button, I'd like to get the script name into a text string because I can turn that around and generate an XML block. I'd like to be able to get a field or a collection of fields and copy them easily.
Do that kind of
When I do it now, it's hacky.
MBS.
Oh, by the way, James is leaving.
Oh, sorry. Hey, James, I cut you off. Apologies. Did you leave?
No,
No, he's still there.
it's still
James?
He's not muted.
not talking, but his ghost is still here.
He said.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go, guys, because I'm getting exhausted. Sorry, but it's really fun.
Wait, well, as you know, the DIGFM meetings never end; they just fade away. So
We just stopped recording.
I am fading away myself. I'm just looking at this list if there's anything on it that. Oh yeah, the horizontal portal. That's mine too.
oh, should we get? All right, we'll go look at
You
it.
guys, I can't really tell much about it because I don't know what to tell. If you guys have any like specific requests or thoughts about it, ping me on Slack or whatever. Just shoot me a message.
What is it supposed to do that we don't already do?
It's a request.
Oh, you can scroll sideways. No, it should be able to do more than that.
Yeah, we can view it sideways. We just can't scroll it sideways.
Right, but it's not just about the scrolling. It's more. There's a term that people use in reporting. And of course, different people want different things. But I know that a lot of people want this. It's been a thing for a while that people have been talking about.
It is the most popular item in that original ideas list.
Oh, I thought it was the reusable layout components.
No,
there's
as
two
in
lists.
the original.
Oh, the original one.
What's
And the
it, what's
ideas.
it called? The ideas, which, you know, I guess I'm really curious why, I don't know, we seem to be jumping from list to lists. That original ideas list has been, I gather, closed for new ideas, but it has so much input there.
Well, I'm hoping to convert some of that eventually so we don't lose it all. Apparently, we got spammed, so they had to shut it down. And now we have Studio, so I was hoping to convert and use that. But that tiny endeavor and all these surveys that I've been putting out only generated more bugs for Robert and friends. So let's wait for those to be ironed out. I would love to have this back because that's why I'm putting out the surveys as well. So instead of just 5-10 people in a conversation, with Claris, I have better access to everybody at once.
Can I give a bit of really quick feedback on the horizontal portals? I had a recent desire to actually just display 2 fields as columns on a phone. There's no easy way of doing that and keeping them the same size, i.e. responsive. I found a hack, but having horizontal portals isn't just about being able to scroll left and right. It's being about potentially keeping your columns even width as well.
Let me
Button
see
bars?
what's written up. I'm trying to find this because
Button bars doesn't work if you're going to do data entry in them.
wait a
I
minute.
ended out using,
Proctor.
I hate to say it, I ended up using a repeating field.
Oh, I was going to say that was going to be my next choice.
Yeah, I did
It's
that,
actually
but
been- yeah. Oh, well, there's no shame in that.
Wait a minute. I'm
There was-
confused. Keith Proctor. Is this the same Keith Proctor?
Yes, it is.
What?
How many
The
are
one
there?
and only.
The one
In
and
our
Could be
only.
more than
system.
one.
In our system,
Yeah.
that ticket came from you.
Yep.
Why don't you tell the world what you dreamt up?
Vince already knows that. He was part of it.
Who?
Vince Bonanno.
Vince can tell us about it.
How many Vince Monanos are there?
Who's gonna own it?
I'm just saying,
think
somebody please tell us where you originally wanted to take this.
so sub-summary parts are just vertical. I was hoping for sub-summary parts to be also horizontal so that you could replicate some kind of crosstab information. So you could say, take this and move it across this way. And so you could scroll infinitely this way and that way. So imagine if you could define a multi-dimensional crosstab.
That's the word.
Sub-summary. So yeah, that's how I envisioned it potentially. At least one idea I had that
Okay. If you guys have something visual that you've seen somewhere that you like, if you can get me that would be great.
In general, I gotta go too. I'm kind of zoning out here.
Where you at?
But in general,
Vince, what did I call that email I sent you? About
what?
the email that I sent you.
When?
About a year before I left.
Okay, let me see if I have it.
About future features or whatever. Anyway, Agnes, if you look in our system for this keyword that I'm asking about, Vince, you'll see that Jeff, Jimmy, Vince, and a couple of other people did a big, huge, like what do we need for future features? And
I have actually written a document on this as well. So
there's about 300 features there
300 features where?
in the system.
Oh, under a specific keyword or?
Yeah, and I'm asking for Vince for the keyword. I can't remember
okay.
right now. But
Oh, you mean label? Like the top customer issue versus stuff like that, or?
no. To move FileMaker in a positive direction for the future. And I'm not talking about like standby server type features. I'm talking about features that allow us to do things that we can't do today.
Okay.
So
give me the keyword and then I'll take a look. But so I'm the reason I wanted to tell you which ones are mine. So if you guys have ideas, thoughts, questions, problems, issues, you can find me. And you can hopefully influence this before it gets done. To make sure that you guys are getting what you need. And remember that just because I'm, a FileMaker developer, I'm new at Claris. So I'm still learning how things work here.
So I was at FileMaker for 35 years.
Oh. So why are you not? Never mind.
I retired. You see how old I am?
No, I'm so old that I can barely see my screen. What you talking about?
I'm way older than you are.
What? In what capacity were you there?
QA.
Oh, cool.
I
have nothing but absolute admiration for the QA people that I work with.
Yeah, I work with life-changing features.
Life-changing features.
Was that what the subject was, Keith?
Let's see.
The document that I sent you back was called life-changing features, but the subject matter was
I can't find that.
features and improvements.
We can figure it out. I'm just saying, I'm happy to. The problem is that we have limited resources. And while I was somewhat excited that I got this fantastic title and I will be able to do things, turns out that the world doesn't work that way. So
Claris doesn't work that way. It used
Right.
to.
So they have these things that they want us to work on, but it doesn't mean, and engineering, certain people and I have agreed that while we work on this, sometimes we can squeeze in some other things. They call them like candlelight features, just like Dave McKee created layout calculations. It wasn't something that was
It's not done. It's not done right, but
I heard that. So you guys tell me what you mean by the not done right part.
it needs to be.
Not right now necessarily, drop
No,
me.
it's very simple.
Okay.
It's a text block when it should be a calculation function. So that means it goes through none of the translation functionality, and it doesn't save and restore easily.
Okay.
It's a text block. It can lose its calculation-ness. You go and change a field name or something that the calculation refers to, and it breaks. It needs to be a calculation, and
Like a
So it
button
needs
bar.
to bake a little more.
I thought they
like the
fixed
button.
that.
I think they fixed it. Yeah,
Oh wait,
I think it got fixed.
what I just mentioned no longer happens.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Starting
We'll
when
get fixed eventually. Just takes a while. But again, I can check on these things. I can have these conversations. I can at least, if not influence them, at least I can guide them and raise some red flags before something gets rolled out and people don't like it.
So Agnes,
Yes.
this is my first version of FileMaker. Oops, where's the camera?
Hold on. How do I make you bigger so I can see you? You can do it here because I know in WebEx you can bring
Well,
somebody.
if I continue to talk, I'll move into your big zone.
I haven't yet.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone, I gotta go. I'm super zonked.
Oh, I figured out how to do it. You got to go to meeting. Now I can see
And-
Vince. Have a good night, Vince. You know how to find me. Everybody knows how to
Yeah.
find me.
Hey,
Um,
Vince,
everyone.
are you still
Thanks.
presenting in July?
I plan to. Yes.
Okay,
always
tentatively. And we're in
Yes.
negotiations for someone who
In
works with
June.
the underlying XML for what's that other month? June.
Yeah.
Big name. Can't release it yet.
Dan. Sorry,
Well, there goes the negotiations.
Male or female?
it's Dan somebody.
Okay. Have a good night, guys.
Bye.
Have a good evening.
Bye.
It was fun. Let's do this again. If
Oh
you
yeah,
guys-
thank you for coming.
if you guys want me to come.
Oh,
if I,
please.
If I didn't spoil everybody's evening,
As long as you didn't spoil Claris.
I can't. I'm gonna leave it there.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, well, here we are. So Caitlin's still Caitlin, where are you coming from, by the way?
Sydney,
Oh, okay, you're still early for you.
I'm eating lunch.
Yeah, I just finished dinner. So
This is sort of the one international one that I can attend because you always do it in the evening.
yeah,
Exactly, Caitlin. I'm in Melbourne, so we're an hour's plane ride between each other.
David comes here sometimes. I've had a presenter
Yeah.
from New Zealand even.
What about the one that meets out of Brighton, England? Does that work for your time zone?
No,
Yeah, I'm hoping to
that's
invite
that's like midnight for us out that way.
we'll have to get a few people from Japan here too, and then we'll.
Yeah.
I just noticed someone's name is AI.
Oops, who is that? Or maybe it's Al.
Could be AI.
Oh, I don't know. It looks like AI. Right.
Copy and
They
paste.
said that AI was going to take over. So
Here
this
it
could
is,
be
spying on us. It's learned it's implemented all our requests already.
could be an early scouting mission.
And the person disconnected. So
Did they?
No, AI is still there.
Just
I think
muted.
I think the AI is the client that then converts the audio to a transcript. Not sure.
I don't think it's.
I haven't seen that. Although, Darren, to that point, I've been using for client meetings and code reviews and stuff like that. I've been firing up individual Zoom transcripts, and you know they're hallucinatory, but useful, and I examine them with human intelligence.
Oh, by the way,
Eric, do you want to turn the recording off and see if it disappears?
Well, there is the there's an AI assistant. I don't know if we turn that off. Well, first of all, did we finish talking about everything we wanted to talk about?
Can we do a quick run through on the top? What'd you say? Top 10 or top 20 ideas? Super quick.
Okay, first, did we finish the new themes? Did we even do that?
There was a lot of pushback on the discussion, like, why do we need new themes?
Yeah.
With all due respect, I'm like,
just go get some, right?
You can make your own. You can make custom themes. So what's the
Go
point?
buy some, go find some.
I didn't vote for it mostly because, well, it all depends whether the themes are any good.
Yeah, like
because the most recent ones, I'm not saying they're not nice looking, but the last batch were
we did
really
get
only
votes for this. Let's see, who was it?
Yeah, they were only suitable for touchscreens. So yeah.
Well, the people who voted for it left the meeting. So
and the other issue is that most of the themes are kind of antiquated, even though themes can produce a very futuristic look. Where it's producing, the themes that are being provided look oldish.
Yeah. And did we seamlessly integrate connectors within FileMaker solution?
We didn't talk about it. I'm neutral. Make marketplace content discoverable.
Wait, where is it? Seems like
this one right here. James voted he's gone, so
there was someone complaining that we don't integrate enough. I don't know if that was James or not. I think it's correct in saying that we should, and that would be part of it, so we can talk to a lot of other services. But there is a workaround for this.
Yeah. I guess it's related to Connect then. Yeah, okay.
But this is only in relation to Claris Connect, isn't it?
It sounds like it.
Yep.
It says, without having to go and connect, it would be integrated with FileMaker. So
no, but it says without having to go into Connect. So I think it just means you're connecting to Connect. You just don't have to go into it. And I mean, I guess we've attempted to use Claris Connect a few times, and I think the work needs to be done in Claris Connect to make it a better solution before it's worth doing anything more in FileMaker for it.
And there is a workaround for this, in that everyone has been forced to do the work on their own for so long. They figured out workarounds of how to get around, how to talk to other services. They've done it on their own.
I mean, you can go direct, you just go through the RESTful API. It's a little bit more work, and you just, with all due respect.
Yeah, they'll either go through SQL or some other connection type.
I think FileMaker does a good job of integrating with a wide variety. The SQL, the AppleScript, shout out to AppleScript, still around. And then the HTTP, the RESTful APIs. I'm not sure. And then the, whatever, the data that comes in through the data API through the server or FMP URL protocol. I think FileMaker does a good job of playing with others.
Now,
Caitlin gave a vote for the make marketplace content discoverable.
Well, I gave it a 1 point.
A sympathy vote.
Yeah.
I had a spare point left over, so.
Yeah, I have one I haven't spent myself.
In that list that Vince and I talked about, we were trying to come up with a way to create a larger marketplace, in that people could create all these calculations and scripts and so forth that already do the work that people might want. And those would be listed up on a service, and you would just suck them into your solution. And yes, there would have to be a field mapper, in there, but that's not a big deal in comparison. Because, like you might like Joe Schmo's calculation. Whoever Joe Schmo is, you might say there's probably a half dozen different phone field formatters. I created one that works for the whole world. And it's
Would
not
you say a field formatter?
a field formatter for phone number. So
Oh, I see.
I
Okay.
forgot to mention the word phone in there. I did one for the whole world, and all you'd have to do is do something like, like pound, 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 hyphen, pound, 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 hyphen, pound, 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 pound.
Yeah.
And it would do that for you. It'd take your content and flow it into that formatter. But other ones do local, like it would work in the United States, but it wouldn't work in Australia or England or whatever, because their formatters are totally different.
You need to separate the country number. Like US has 1 as the prefix for some reason.
Well, we do 334 as a pattern, but I forget New Zealand.
Yeah, it's different. Well, they all have international dialing codes, right?
Well, they have that. All the countries have that. So don't worry about that part. But even inside, like in the US, we use a 3-digit to indicate an area code. New Zealand uses 1 2-digit, 1 digit, 2 digits, or 3 digits. And that's their area code. So if it's in this range, it has to, like if the first number is a 1, I'm going to give this example. I don't know the exact rules, but if there's a 1, there can only be like 1 or 2 digits and it long. And if it's 3, then it could have maybe 2 digits or 3 digits. We're always 3 in the US. And Japan is always 3, I think. But the rules are different for every country. So those are harder to do. But mine's a small little calc, and it handles like 80% of the world. Whereas it doesn't handle New Zealand, for instance. But you get something like that, and people go, oh, I see the value of that, and I want to use it. And there could be a marketplace for all these like fancy things that make your life easier is the end result. And it's going to be a while for that, I mean.
I wonder how many people are making money from the Claris FileMaker. I mean, I get the idea. It's like, people write modules or whatever, libraries, and they put it on the marketplace, and then, tons of people. It's actually years ago at a DevCon, there was a guy who was early with like a chart. I think it was a charting module, and he was selling it for $20 maybe. And he said at DevCon, he said, yeah, I made 30 grand. And, hey, that's 30 grand even today is good money. And back then it's more. But I wonder how much people are making it. I also wonder if you look at other platforms like Ruby, they have Ruby gems, right? And Python has eggs or whatever. And a lot of those are free. And I wonder what a library of free custom functions like Brian Dunning, there's a ton of things all free there. I wonder what the impact of that is on projects, which I think that's where the big money is, not to be crude, but I think these days more money is made with a project that goes really well with code snippets and custom functions and so forth and so on than trying to make a living on marketplace items. But I could be wrong because I don't have any marketplace items.
All the marketplace things, like for a cheesy little calc, you might charge, I don't know, 50 cents or $3.
Or how many people are going to buy it?
If it's way better than yours and it eases your life, you might buy a few dozen of these things. But
you're competing with free. Like if you look at the Brian Dunning website,
but
a lot of the things are going to be free.
You could choose to charge or not charge is my point. It's a
yeah.
market. It's a marketplace, and if you think it's worth something, you can put it up for a value. And
Yeah. Well,
like
it's one of the things on their list.
we have a
Make
bunch
marketplace content discoverable.
yeah, we have a bunch of things that are public, or we have a bunch of calculation function APIs that are out there,
Mhm.
and people buy that stuff, right?
Well, I know that there's the Lambda. Well, I don't, I'm going to walk into dangerous territories. When I was reading or listening to the Ruby Rogues podcast, walking around the park, one of the things, if I understood what they were saying correctly, the idea of downloading code from a repository and injecting it into your code base struck me as like a risky thing to do, because all you would need is somebody to hack the external code chain, and then you're in big trouble. Whereas any kind of code that is not just imported at runtime, and rather is, looked at carefully and integrated statically, would seem to be a safer proposition.
Well, and FileMaker doesn't really have code. I mean, scripting would be more dangerous. Okay, so importing a script, but a calc function wouldn't be that dangerous unless it includes external APIs.
I was so worried about the internet going down.
No, I mean, it would, once it's in your solution, it's raw text. It wouldn't have to like go out to the calc and go get it type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a little bit like the plugin idea, which I didn't go for the plugin because I was just doing code gen from way back, and they were a little bit undocumented for my taste. I didn't want to spend time figuring them out, how they work.
Yeah, there's only 2 or 3 calc functions that you'd have to worry about their usage. And those
Right, what's that called? Evaluate, right?
evaluate, and then some of the ones that call HTTP stuff and whatever.
Right.
So if that stuff wasn't in the calc, then it would, and if a calc is like 2 pages long, I would never use it. I've always found someone's given me a page of FileMaker calc, and I've always worked it down to like 2 or 3 lines. And it ended up being more generic and more usable.
Yeah. Except for JSON query, the amazing function that is so big that it's bumping up against the limits of how many characters you can have in a calculation. JSON query.
No,
yeah.
actually, the calc engine doesn't have a limitation. It's the dialog that has a limitation.
Oh, okay.
It's 64K, 64,000 characters, and that's only because that's a limitation of either Mac or Windows. I forget which.
That's cool. Not our fault.
Yeah.
So bundle connected on-prem agent is part of FileMaker Server. That seems like a nice idea.
Bundle connect on-prem agent. What does that even mean?
I didn't know what that meant.
Eric, can you hover over it? Do your thing.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Eric, you want to read it?
Sorry, what's up?
We're wondering what bundle,
this.
second from the bottom, bundle connect on-prem.
The one that didn't get voted for.
How about?
We want to bundle the Claris Connect on-prem agent directly with FileMaker Server and make it fully installable, configurable, and monitorable from FileMaker Server admin console. This means developers will no longer need to separately download or manually configure the on-prem agent.
Sure.
That's a minor thing.
Easy to implement. So I vote yes.
Yeah, I
do it in an afternoon.
No votes. It got no votes.
You tell the installer guy to do it, and it happens.
Sounds good.
I think they need to put a bit more work into Claris Connect to make it really useful before we focus on integrating it with FileMaker. I mean, we've tried to do a few things with it, and we've just ditched it and used other tools instead.
What's not useful about it?
So for instance, there's there's some pre-built functionality. There's an approval workflow, but it's not configurable. So we kind of went down the path of wanting to send emails, with an approval link, but you can't remove the Claris Connect logo from the email. You can't insert FileMaker data into the email itself.
You're basically not agreeing with the base functionality. Not that it's limited or has issues. What you want to do is clean it up so it looks like your solution, not someone else's solution.
Well, I mean, not only that, the information, I mean, yeah, if we're going to integrate with FileMaker, then I would expect to be able to, as we can do natively in FileMaker now, to include FileMaker data in the email that's going out for the approval. So, yeah, it's just, basically we were trying to replace some stuff and it just turned out to be more limited than being able to do things natively in FileMaker.
FileMaker Go on Android. Gosh. See,
A lot of stories on that one.
Claris, an Apple company already being abused by being on Unix and Windows, wants to provide a fifth platform and put it on Android. It makes sense. I'm just saying it's hot water for FileMaker to do that.
So don't hold your breath on that one. What's the field labels thing?
Oh, thanks.
Oh, sorry, I'm muted. Just to point out, all these ideas, they're from the old ideas
These are all-time
website.
hits.
So
That's fine. I'm just saying it makes sense, and it just puts Claris into hot water.
Wait, did you guys just talk about Android? I got distracted over here.
Yeah, we did.
Said it's hard.
Well, it would have been nice. Yeah, be able to distribute over there. All right, you said labels?
Field labels, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's. Of course, I think maybe I'd rather have Android, but not that I use Android, but you tend to have customers there.
What's the idea about field labels?
Oh, sorry, got to click it. I'm just used to being able to read that. Right here, it would be great. Oops, what happened? It would be great to allow us to name fields to our standards, and yet when fields are used to export data.
Oh, yeah. That's actually a feature that has been talked about.
Yeah, something like right next to comments, right? You have a field comment, you have a field label, and you could tell it to use that instead of the field name.
You want the field name to be a private thing by the database designer, and you want a public name for it, and that's what ends up on the layout.
Yeah, I would like the choice to use either one, but you could use one or the other, or use the field names if the label isn't filled out, that sort of thing. But yeah, it probably should have a default populated thing too.
The default would be the name of the field.
Yeah.
And
so yeah, this would be popular. Good for exporting. Good for having the separate field, like above comments, below comments, or whatever. And then it could be what you have your field with the convention. Mm-hmm. You might have metadata embedded, and then the label would be, you might have name first, underscore, or name full, underscore CT, something like that.
That could be a calculation, and you could handle all your internationalization.
Because our Excel exports by default are ugly unless you go through a lot of trouble.
You could do workarounds, but
yeah,
I like that feature.
Yeah. You see what I mean, though?
That a calculation would be better than a static field. Yep.
Yeah, because if it is, then you can handle all your localization inside that calc.
Well, under that argument, everything should be a calculation, or just about. A lot of things on the layout should be.
Not everything. Some things should be references.
Yeah.
By making that suggestion, I just took another thing and made it a calc.
Yeah.
And,
So it's a shame Agnes isn't still here, because what it would be great to understand is, I guess, given that these ones have been on that list for 10 years and they've received the most votes of any ideas in all of that time, presumably there's a reason they haven't done it.
Well, you can, you know what? Go ahead and keep talking like you're talking to her, because we'll just send her a link to the video.
Okay.
It's a fair question, and Hunza just stepped up and said, "How come? You know, you asked us what we wanted, we told you what we wanted, and then you just told us something."
we want to do something new, not what you've been asking for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the ideas
I
great.
get with sort of like all these Claris Connect things, I get it. They're trying to push Claris Connect as, a new product, and obviously want to improve its take up,
Market
etc.
share.
But at the end of the day, if we don't improve FileMaker at the same time,
Hard to
because
say.
who's the audience for Claris Connect? There are a lot of other products out there that are already doing what Claris Connect is trying to do. So I don't know how they're going to win out unless they win over FileMaker people as well.
And Claris Connect hasn't even reached its potential yet. It's a very small team, and it actually does only about 20% of what it's capable of doing. That was a purchased product,
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and it
that
has
was
Right.
Giuliano's company,
right.
him and 2 developers. So that's got to be near and dear to his heart, obviously.
And it's better tested than when he gave it to us, but it's a good little product, and it's kind of sad that it's not going anywhere.
The people on there's a organization on the West Coast. They do the podcast. I think it's Claris Beyond is the name of their podcast, and they focus a lot on integrations, and they've got quite a few Claris Connect success stories.
Yeah, we've actually asked, why haven't you moved over to Claris Connect, to all these companies that actually have connections with other things? And they go, ours have been working for a decade. Why would we change?
Right. If you already have a RESTful integration,
Yeah.
If you already have some sort of integration,
why would you introduce middleware?
yeah, exactly.
But some
There's-
people are using it. It's a good, put a toe in the water. It's good for the less technically sophisticated developers.
I guess there are other competing products though. There's Zabbix, there's N8N. I don't know if that's how
If
you say
this,
it.
then that. If this, then that.
Right. So, yeah, Claris Connect are not the only player.
Yeah, I think the idea was buy this product, make it a component in a larger ecosystem. You put together the classic FileMaker platform, I'll call it that. So you put it under the umbrella Claris. You call it Claris FileMaker, and then you add Connect, and then you add Studio, and you're creating an integrated ecosystem. And you get everything working perfectly.
This was my favorite. Oh, this back years ago when they announced that they were going to make an acquisition, but it was some sort of secret. It was that Connect, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when they announced that speculation, they were telling us that they were going to acquisition something. My first guess was, they're gonna buy Monkey Bread.
That's something that we could do faster and better.
Yeah.
So I don't know why you would purchase Monkey Bread.
Well, because it does a lot of. I mean, anybody who knows what it is gets it, and we all use it because FileMaker doesn't do a lot of the things that are in there. I mean,
he moves faster. He does have the luxury of moving faster.
Yeah.
Because if he does something like scrollable font size or whatever, or zoom in, zoom out, and if he gets his 99% correct, he'll be like, well, we like Christian. He gets amazing things. If FileMaker does it, people are like, oh my God, you guys are horrible. You know what I mean?
Also, a lot of the developer tools are Mac only, which FileMaker would not be able to just say you can only do a bunch of these things on Mac.
That's true.
So
Are you on? Yeah.
So solution-wide layout parts, we've sort of already talked about that.
Yep.
Unless that's different than.
Oh yeah, it's the same thing.
So I think in the post
So they did listen once.
well, the response that I did, I just listed the top 20 or whatever that was on that old
24,
ideas
I
list,
think.
and I said only one of these things is in your new voting.
And that was it, huh?
Yeah,
Oh,
and that was
funny.
it.
Yeah, and I don't care about the name of it. For years, we've been talking about it as layout within a layout. And if we only do what she's talking about, it limits its scope. Whereas I actually want all the functionality of a current layout inside another layout. I want the header. I want the footer. I want the sub-summary parts. I want everything. So that way, if you create a dashboard, you could create a sub-summary report of something. You know, how many jeans have you sold today, type of thing. Whatever that is. I can do everything, and I don't want to be limited. But the way that it's currently being suggested severely limits what it can do.
I guess if it means that it's more likely to actually get delivered,
I don't mind us starting with the idea that it is a layout within a layout and only implement the things that we can do, with the end goal being layout within a layout. But if you start with that, then it becomes that and only that. And that's true for, you currently have the calc engine on layout way before Dave McKee's new feature. So if you know the features to do
Button bar?
No. The merge features, not okay, there's several of them, right? The merge layout features. So there's a field, less than. Okay.
Right.
And then there's the get status functions. Okay. And you just, I forget what symbol that is, but you type the symbol for that and you type the name of the symbol. That is a calculation. It's a one token calculation.
Symbols. Those are called symbols.
Yeah. So I'm really bad with names of things, especially after leaving. But anyway, the symbols, that's a calculation. All David had to do was connect into that, and he would have brought up a dialogue and
then you would have had references instead of static text.
You could do whatever the calc engine could do. Okay. So
well, maybe they fixed it. We didn't test it, but there was people talking about fixing it. To be fair, when that feature came out, I looked at button bars, because you put a button bar on a layout, 100% calculation, and you just set the fill to nothing, and boom, you're off to the races. Okay, so Eric is commenting here. Hey, I got a improved email HTML. There's every now and then I answer this is a little bit of an FAQ for the people who are using a Macintosh platform with Apple Mail. Sal Sognian, I think his name, or Shane Stanley, one of those AppleScript experts, dropped a AppleScript Objective-C code, and we use it. And it does give you the ability to send HTML emails from FileMaker to Apple Mail.
You can't, the bits and pieces that you need for that email are sort of in the product already. So there is a get as CSS and get as HTML functions
Right.
that are already in there. And all they'd have to do is literally then send as a checkbox to say send as HTML,
Although I think half the reason anybody wants to do that is so they can stick images in there.
Yeah, and that's a limitation of the text engine. It can't have a link to a graphic in it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that obviously is the ultimate goal, but even just being able to format something with, tabs or, dot points or
better than
whatever
nothing. Yeah.
is, and that's why I was kind of like, some of these things I would have thought with HTML, that doesn't seem that hard to achieve.
Exactly. And because I have users, and that's all they want is to put something in bold, like because they'll have this field where it goes out as an email, and they'll make it bold and italic and all the things they know they can do in FileMaker.
Yeah.
And they go, oh yeah, that's not going to go make it out on your email.
There is a big, huge mega hack for this, which is to use symbology in line where you want the graphic to show up. So you do left bracket, field name, right bracket.
Yeah.
And
where it just makes a reference to an image that you have somewhere.
And then you use the merge, the letter calculation, if you're familiar with that, where you go through and find every left bracket and look for that as a field and say get field on it.
Yeah.
And it would put that graphic in line. Instead, you put it, HTTP : blah, blah, blah.
I think the way the other ones do, like the plugins and something, you have the option. I think you can bin hex it and shove it into the in line to the message.
So we have bin hex as a calculation as well.
Yeah.
So you could hack together something and make it work.
Yeah, there are solutions that are code solutions that are out there. I forget who published them. I know I want to say Soliant, but I think it was somebody else that I saw.
But you actually don't need a third party anything. You could do it all in FileMaker, but you have to know what to do.
Exactly. It's a lot of knowing.
Yeah.
When this question comes up, a lot of people say, use the APIs. It came up actually this week, I think it was. It comes up a lot, and even this week. It's a gentleman was saying, this is what I want. I'm using Apple Mail. I want to have an email that's basically built in FileMaker, whatever the text is, whatever the field contents is being merged in, and I want to pass it into Apple Mail because I want to maybe add something beyond the template that I'm working off of. So it's not just a template. It's like, hi, Bob, it was great to see you yesterday. Yeah. So it can be done.
Yeah. I mean,
hard to do it on multiple platforms.
Yeah, but we're building applications, and you think, well, FileMaker has essentially a web browser, and you could actually kind of program a sort of web browser there if you wanted. Why not an email program as well?
Well, it's got 3,600 votes, right?
Yep, it's up there.
Yeah, so the faster calc engine, there are a few things about the calc engine.
It's probably a Hansa thing.
But it's actually pretty fast. The real issue is all the relational garbage that goes with it. So there's probably 20, 30 things that the calc engine itself could be improved.
Hey, look who posted this one. I guessed right.
Who was it?
Hansa.
Scroll down.
And look, he's got his stats.
Are you sharing a screen? I can't see it.
Oh, whoops.
It's in another window.
Maybe. Yeah.
Go under the window menu and look at your.
I must be the setting.
We're not both sharing, right, Tony? No.
I can't see that.
Hello,
I
welcome
can
back.
see it now.
No, ma'am.
Yeah, it's just me.
So I don't see how JavaScript is. That's C++ code. So they call a function to do something. It runs off into C++ code, comes back and does an answer. But FileMaker's numbers handle huge things where JavaScript only handles like 16 digits of precision or 32 digits, something like that. We're 400 digits out. So I don't know that that's a fair representation.
Yeah, JavaScript right there. Look at that.
That's going into a C++. It's calling some system code to do an answer, and it's an imprecise number that you're getting back. And a lot of FileMaker numbers are actually precise numbers.
Better in Excel anyway.
Okay. So let's Eric, can you reply and say JavaScript sucks or something like that?
No, don't do that.
Don't tell.
I'm saying it's a happy medium. He's correct.
Tell Jeremy Brown that JavaScript sucks.
He's right in that it should be faster. It's just that I'm pretty sure that we can get off of that 400 and wait, where's FileMaker? Non-abortable. Abortable.
I think it's all FileMaker except for JavaScript.
How about JavaScript is disappointingly imprecise and makes AI look like
a genius?
What is he doing in JavaScript?
Oh, because that's one of the workarounds. You would get yourself you would do a JavaScript program inside of a web viewer to get a better, faster result. Huh?
Where's his calculation?
I wonder if he has a. Oh yeah, look, what is that? Is that a file? What is this thing?
Like it might be Excel.
Okay, I don't know what it is, but it's probably not important in that his main.
Oh, it's just a screenshot.
His main thesis for it is probably correct. It probably needs to be faster.
Oh yeah, he knows what he's talking about.
But
buy a faster computer.
Well, the people are like having the discussion about, did you test this? Did you check that?
It's kind of unfair because when you do a C++ function that says 1 divided by 2, it's pure math. Whereas FileMaker is tokenized. It says, what's this token? Find out what the token is. Oh, it's a number. And then it goes on to the next thing and it says, what's the token? Oh, it's the divide sign. Okay, take the second number, pass it to that. It's not comparable what we're doing.
Well, to me, I would think an easy answer to this is like, you know what? Put a checkbox on the calculation engine. If you don't like the way we do it, go ahead and send it to JavaScript automatically, and we'll come back with an answer from JavaScript, and you can decide whether you want the imprecise answer or the better FileMaker precision.
Well, FileMaker is doing database things.
Yeah.
Doing the language is tokenized.
Yeah.
So the two of it makes it not even possible to do what JavaScript is doing. But his thesis that it should be faster, it should probably be 2080 seconds, something like that, instead of 400 something seconds.
2080.
Something. I don't know how that would work out.
Oh yeah, I'm sure all this has changed perhaps a little bit, but 4 years ago.
And Hans has done a lot of good work about. He's done a lot of testing. Here's a good story. Had a graph. It was unified. He went to Anchor Buoy. It ran twice as fast, and then he did a selector connector, and then it went back 2x. So he did some nice popularizing the idea that the relationship graph for a big system works better with Anchor Buoy because the number of pathways is significantly less.
Anchor Buoy slows down certain things like opening the file and doing some other operations. But because the join graph is only if you manage your Anchor Buoy, okay, then it can be faster because you're only talking about a join graph that only has 5 or 10 elements in it.
Yeah, if it's a small, my take, because I talked with Hansa and I talked with Clay and I talked to Richard Carlton, one particular DevCon with this was a topic du jour, is that it doesn't matter with a small system. With a big system, you get into a thing where the number of pathways scales in a nonlinear semi-factorial fashion. And that aligns with the results that he did with rather rigorous testing.
So basically, to make it faster, the only thing you could do is to have panels inside the join graph. And you would literally go to a layout, it would load up the panel that makes sense.
Right.
And it would only run that. And then the person still has to be, like, I'm only going to use, point to point.
Right.
From this point to that point.
Some sort of lazy loading construct. One of the things, we have a big system that's kind of enterprise-wide, CRM all the way to shipping with, everything else in between. And we have it currently a 27 file structure, where the files are divided by department. And the thesis is you get performance with 27 files on the rewrite server. And also you get a little bit of a lazy loading. And I think that works, but I don't have the metrics. But everything we have is running pretty fast. But Hunza comes with charts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so does Vince. He's done some stuff over the European, like do this method versus that method, and it's faster.
Yeah, he's big on latency testing.
But I also don't like what Vince is doing because.
Oh. Let's hear more.
Let's wait till Vince is back.
No, he's doing again for his solution the right thing.
Yeah.
But it makes it harder to maintain. So it's not using FileMaker-isms, and I think the problem is whatever makes his method faster really should be incorporated into FileMaker, so that way the base functionality is faster.
Huh.
All he's doing in the long run is making like more scripts, more this, more that, and a lot of extra passing. Like he passes stuff to the server and the server inputs it into the file. So that's more fragile. Okay. So he knows what he's doing, and
if it could save you a day's worth of processing, that'd be.
Well, it saves his user. It doesn't save him at all. Okay. He has to go through a lot of extra hoops to make it work. Okay. Which is, if he wants to do the work, great, but he's saving his customers from waiting.
Yeah.
And if he can send it and forget it, and it comes into the database 5-10 seconds later, it doesn't matter. His user's free to do what he wants to do.
Yep.
But the answer that he may, the server may be backed up and have 10 or 20 of those requests to do. And if he does a report right after based on that data, then he may not have the right answer.
Oh.
So the best thing is users are slow. They may not move on they feel like they can move on, but they don't always move on. So therefore, it's most likely correct. You see the difference there? What I'm talking about? Anyway, that's enough of that. Yes, the calculation engine should be faster. Permit scrolling in non-enterable read-only text fields.
A very popular question on community.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Permit scroll. Oh, yeah.
And that, again, seems like should be relatively simple, I would have thought.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a workaround for this one.
What is?
I'm going to share my screen. I have a lot of computers. This is an older computer. Don't get
Copy it elsewhere, put it into a global scroll all you want.
Nah, I got
Look at this angry emoji.
5K for 5 years, and FileMaker has not delivered something so simple.
So yeah, people are going to complain. There's a workaround. People should stop complaining and do the workaround.
All right, let's see your workaround then.
Thank you very much. So here's a field, and I am going to say align, and I am going to use the FileMaker, and I'm going to make it such there's enough lines such the scroll bar appears. Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
This is a field.
some might say I can vandalize this I don't know how to spell it, but whatever. I can edit that field. But now I will click this button and I will use this Kevin Frank's lockable popovers, modal popovers, very nice feature. Shout out Kevin. Come present again sometime. So I'm going to lock this field. And now I am going to, because I didn't commit the record, I'm going to attempt to edit this. And then it says you cannot edit it. I don't even care if you have full permission. I don't care who you are. You just can't edit it. That's it.
He just needs permission to another field.
Validation locked field called locked one. And I got locked 1, locked 2, locked 3.
What do you? I thought you were addressing the scrolling.
Watch, I'm going to scroll it now. So this is a field that is non-editable. See, look at me trying to edit it.
Okay.
Okay. Am I able to edit the field? Apparently not.
Yeah.
Okay. Am I able to scroll in the field? We shall soon find out. And by the way, so the next question is, okay, look, I'm scrolling up and down. See?
Oh, but this is a field.
Well, what did they want to do? They wanted to scroll a field, right?
No. It's what does it say?
Yeah, I think that's what it is, isn't it?
No, it's non-enterable. Yeah, okay, so it is a field. Never mind.
Yeah,
You're right.
non-enterable, non-editable.
Oh,
I was thinking of like text objects and things, but
That's
yeah,
different.
never mind.
Take your field, double click on it, and don't allow.
Wait. I got one more thing to demo, and then I will play Simon Says in just a second.
You're right. It's cool.
Okay, so wait. Now, some people could say, but that field looks so tempting because why? Because it is, hold on, NOTLOCKED, 3 different locks. I'm pretty sure that this is, hold on, just so you can all play along at home. And then fill color, because I got to look it up. What's a good fill color? We use DDD. 60s in a row. We only type 3. Obviously. So that field, it's grayed out because everybody knows that grayed out means you cannot edit it. Okay. Hold on 1 second. I'm also trying to go to the browse mode.
Command B.
Yeah, except it's Zoom's putting up a fight here. Oh, not anymore. Okay. Apparently I don't know how to put conditional formatting on, but take my word that you can put conditional formatting on a layout.
Yeah.
But okay, so your workaround for the scroll essentially blocking a field that
non-editable. So go into layout, go into.
Oh, okay. This is what people say. It's like, I'm going to have this layout field, and I'm going to.
Workaround. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get what they ask for. It's like the song says, you can't always get what you want.
Yeah.
But you get what you need. I'm like, they could say, I want to be able to do this. I'm like, well, I can give you something close, and you can use it or not use it.
I think
that's you didn't have enough sleep and you watched what you were doing. You're going, but how does that address it?
They can just sit around and complain for the next 5 years until FileMaker gets around to shipping the feature, if that's what they want to do.
Field. Yeah.
No, it's not doing what you're doing at all. So on the right-hand panel.
So I'm going to take away the browse mode. Okay. So I've taken away the browse mode, which is, no, that's my scary system. Let's say I'm taking away the browse mode. And now look, I cannot get in the field and I cannot scroll. Well, what can I say?
That's what he's talking about. So,
yeah, well, then he's going to be a sad person.
No, that's a reasonable.
Well,
it's just not.
So
it's not a big one. That's
all right. If the engineers at FileMaker, look, guys, I tried, guys and gals, I tried. I gave them a workaround. They were like very pedantic, and they were like,
all they'd have to do is create a little button over there that pops them into a larger field.
Yeah. All right. Whatever. I like the locking fields.
Yeah.
In general, I think it's an underutilized technique. I've been candidate a blog post on it. I think it's useful. The layout level stuff to me is a bad. I I don't even like the, so I lock the field on the layout. So I put the notes field on a different layout. And, I lock things on the schema level, not layout. That's
ideally, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, where do you lock things? You lock things at the schema level. Otherwise you have to you can't even get to sleep. Like, oh my God, what if someone puts this note field on a layout?
Yeah.
All is lost. I wouldn't be able to sleep. I would feel bad about myself.
As you should.
As I should.
This is not a big deal. It's a reasonable request. It's just,
I like the request. I give him a workaround.
yeah.
It's amazing that
not a big
this
one.
got a lot of votes, though. I mean,
Plus, by the way, this is a terrific product. This sea vegetables from Maine, very highly mineralized. Hey, Eric, the next one is
wait, am I sharing screen again?
yeah, the next one is
Okay, you gotta stop sharing.
okay.
No, you
The
don't.
next
No,
one
you
is
don't.
no, I'm gonna stop anyhow. Because then I can
He's got stuff to protect.
I've already shown too much.
See where it says Eric Matthews screen at the top?
Oh yeah, but it's
That's actually a tab control.
but I mean we don't even know what ends up on the recording if we have multiple.
The front most of the recorder.
Yeah.
Not edit field when. Why that's the same.
Huh? Oh, this one?
I'm bowing out, guys. But I'd just like to say, when you get to define value list based on calculation, gee, that one would be good.
Wait, where were you
Yeah,
at?
I agree. I've got a definition for that.
It's a little bit
Pickers.
further down,
Pick list.
but I've got to go.
Got a definition. for that.
Kathleen, nice to see you.
Yes.
And
Yes.
good day.
Thanks for the
Thank
list.
you. Okay. See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Cheerio.
Trying to leave.
Told you we just
Wrong
these
country.
You just
meetings
can't
never
get in
end. They just fade away and you can't leave. You can check
Get out of here.
I'm
The wrong
trapped.
country.
Hotel California.
That's
Okay, she succeeded. All right, not edit field when. That's like lock your records.
Should I look at this?
Yeah, those two are sort of the same thing.
Oh well, his like.
I mean, they're sort of the same
So
workaround.
this is what Tony. Yeah, I thought
Well,
this
this is
what you're
the same
talking
thing.
about.
This is layout. Hold on. This is once again layout level stuff,
Hmm.
which is I would discourage
Yeah.
because it's not best practice. Doesn't make you a bad person. It's just not
Anybody talk about
technically
workaround?
correct.
Still, nothing has been done. I've got a few out there where I've said the same thing.
Oh well. All right. Use the workaround. Or wait another 6 years.
And if a variable can be used, you could create a bit field,
Hmm.
have one field, and then just load up the field and say if bit one is on, then so you don't
Yeah.
have to-
I mean, that's what we're using. I'm using locked 1, locked 2, locked 3.
yeah,
Those
but
purchase orders go through sequential states.
right, I'm just saying you could set the state of the purchase order to 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
And just
Oh, a single field. True that.
and lock it down, or I mean, it depends
Yeah,
on
you could do it with one field with a
yeah.
that could have a value of 1, 2, 4, 8, 16 or something.
Whatever stage you're in.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the next one?
This one. Built-in background sync.
What does that mean?
It's coming up.
Does he mean the every minute thing?
Oh, Chris Irvine. Obviously a very detailed proposal here. Okay. I would vote yes, just to save time
Okay.
reading it.
I'm not sure what he's asking for.
I don't know. It's pretty. No, I'm all kidding. I would read this whole thing. Look at that. All right, what are we doing here? Most of the ideas submitted incremental, so I'm just gonna. It's a biggie.
Oh, so his is better than everybody else's.
So what are we doing here?
I
Reserving
think
chunks
you
in.
just read this as put up the pinwheel list.
I'll take this as a homework assignment.
Yeah. Let's not read this because
Let's go to the next one because this is like 3 hours just to. But Chris Irvine, he's got a really nice blog post or blog site called Scale FM or something like that. And
he's
good stuff.
probably right, and there's too many beach balls coming up, and all he wants to do is get rid of the beach balls.
Okay.
Um,
The beach is really good. Get your feet in the sand.
This programmatically turn off script triggers. You can get in trouble with your solution, but yeah,
Yeah.
we should be
You
able to
can-
turn it off and on.
Yeah, because I'm using because if you interrupt a script or something, which there's ways to avoid that.
You can just put a wrapper $$ script triggers off.
Now,
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is
Oh,
you
but
need
Vince
to turn it
voted
back
to-
on, and if you interrupt it somehow, then it doesn't come back on.
you need to turn it. It's your responsibility. That's what I said.
Yeah, I know, but
Okay, you can get in trouble with it.
look, I already voted for it, so there you go.
And so see this, you'd have to provide two different things.
Yeah,
You have to be able to have a GUI element that says turn it off.
yeah.
You'd have to have a programmatic way of turning it off. And then turn
Just
it
say,
back.
if all scripts are ended, just turn it back on. That sort of thing too.
But yeah, it could, most of the script steps that are paired together, when you leave the script, it automatically flips it to the other bit. There's at least half a dozen script steps that do that. So this could be just another one of those. You could be lazy, in other words, and when the script is done,
Yeah,
it turns it back on.
yeah. Because I have scripts that didn't finish or got interrupted or who knows what, and then
If you're one of those solutions that always run in a script, then you'd have to be religiously correct about doing it.
yeah.
But that's not a big deal. What's the next one?
It is
Okay, what is
for responsive layout.
What is responsive layout?
Oh, it's probably like the web functionality. Yeah, it says like when you go from like mobile to like full
Single layout
Yeah.
that fits on an iPad, then you put it on an iPhone and it fits.
Yeah, I bet you this is responsive. Watch. Look this up, and then all the stuff goes down here.
Sorry.
Are you guys
Stuff disappears or moves around. Boop, boop,
Are you
boop.
guys
Yeah.
familiar with CAD
Oh,
software?
yeah, there it went.
Computer aided design.
Yep. So
Yeah, no, you showed it to us. You showed us Claris CAD or whatever.
right, but Claris CAD doesn't have this feature. The modern CAD apps do.
Mm.
Number one, you can make things relative to each other. So for instance, we have this feature called sliding, and you turn sliding on a per object basis. But in CAD, you can say these objects are related to each other and they should never be any further than 10 pixels away from each other. So left to right, top to bottom, whatever. And then you can set a min and max size for them. They can never be bigger than this or smaller than this. And with those rules, that allows you to make a responsive layout with also being able to hide and show things. We can already hide and show things. So we need a couple more tools.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a big deal, but that's actually a hard one to do, believe it or not.
But,
Yeah.
but the whole internet's doing it.
Well, no, JSON does it, or sorry, HTML does it, and that's not a responsive layout. It's called a flow layout. That's why I said what is a responsive layout?
I think that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, I think so too. But if you're talking about HTML, that's a flow layout. When you take this window and you resize it, some of the objects will flow underneath the other objects.
Yep.
Okay, that's called a flow layout. But I don't know what he technically means by responsive. Does he want the flow, or does he want? Most people want the precision of putting in FileMaker to put objects.
Yeah, he's just talking about like mobile versus like desktop type browser.
Yeah, and you hide and show those, and you if you go from a large iPad layout, down to a smaller iPad layout to a phone, those rules change.
Yeah, multiple layouts
Well,
that's our current workaround.
if we had a couple of rules for that, you could do it all in one layout, and maintaining less layouts is good.
Yeah.
You know, like it takes a lot of effort to do mobile.
Of course, if they give the reusable layout elements, it won't be so bad. But yeah.
Well, no, that doesn't solve that problem.
No, not entirely. But that's one of the reasons you don't want multiple layouts is because you've got to maintain.
You have to edit 100 layouts.
Yeah.
Yeah, the layout within a layout gets you to the point where you have one toolbar and you don't have to do a lot of work.
Yeah.
So there's a hack. We've been using it for years for progress dialogues. I would like to see a real progress dialogue element. It would work like our text dialogue, but have a progress in it. The only problem is that you have to be in a loop and you have to say, as I walk through the loop, update the value. And the value is a percentage, or it is a hard-coded number from 1 to 1,000 or 1 to 1,000,000. If you're progressing, or if you're processing 1,000,000 rows, then you have to insert that as the top value and what is the low value. And you have to update the record count or something, or do some math on your own. So that's not hard. It's just a to-do thing.
The low code solution, if you're showing the status bar, this is something I do. I call it the poor man's progress bar. You just in a loop, you just put a pause 0 works, and it's enough for FileMaker to redraw the Rolodex on the upper left-hand corner of the status bar. And so you configure it with like modularity. You give it like a config of usually 100, but on some things that are slower, 10, whatever matches the patient's level of, not the patient, the customer's level of impatience. Anyway, poor man's progress bar, status bar, loop, refresh, or no, pause is what causes the refresh.
And you teach them to look at the record.
And just like you see the thing, there's 1,000,000 records, and it goes 100, 200, 300, 400. There's your progress bar.
You don't even have to do that. All you have to do is
somebody voted for stuff. I didn't even see that.
You put 20 or 50 graphics in another table, and
you could do that too. More work, but you could do that too.
So they're just progressively larger and larger.
Yeah, I mean, we've done the little fancy thing.
I did charting like that for
every single loop we do has a progress bar because we show the status bar default.
I created a charting solution in FileMaker Roman numeral 2, all based on that. I put like 1,000 graphics in a table.
Oh, is that yours?
I don't think I ever published it to anyone. I just told people who would call up. I was in tech support back in 91 or 88, whatever year it was. But all you do is put 1,000 graphics in there with like 100 of each color. And you automatically set the colors, and you do a lookup for the percentage of the value that you're in. And it pulls the number, so it was a very fast way to do charts back then. Kind of cheesy. I did horizontal, vertical, bar graphs, and you could do others, but
hey, are you guys talking about this progress dialogues thing?
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, along those lines, I just thought pretty much any FileMaker interface element should be something you could just stick on the layout instead. Like anything you find in the toolbar should be something you could just rip out and stick it on the layout somewhere.
Yeah, there should be a quote unquote progress element on the toolbar. You slap it down in, and then in the script, you just set a value, and it shows that.
In fact, I have
the dialogues look like your dialogues,
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're going to lock up your UI if you do a real dialogue. You could do a real dialogue, but
Yeah.
it wouldn't be that much different than our text dialogue already that we already
But I think I had a product idea out there is that essentially you should be able to program the entire FileMaker interface with FileMaker, and then you would have arrived. So
Yeah, we almost did that like back in 7.0, but they did some research
yeah,
and showed that it took a lot more work because
yeah,
we needed themes to make it work, and you needed Mac and Windows rule sets for the theme.
True.
and then you needed system level controls to make it look like that system, like on Mac or on Windows, and it was a lot of work, not just a little. That was like 2 months of someone's work.
Yeah, but yeah, that was my idea. Is like, I should be able to create my own version of managed database. But anyway,
There was do you guys remember Claris Resolve?
no.
Vaguely familiar.
Yeah, Claris Resolve was a spreadsheet product, and that whole UI was written in Resolve script. But it was only on Mac.
Well, I don't vote that we go. So I resorted this whole list, and these were it looks like Caitlin voted for all the stuff she really hoped to hear about.
Yeah.
So
Is she back?
No,
no,
I think that's.
I figured she might
Lori.
watch the video, right? So
Oh, I
So
heard.
define value list based on count. Pick lists. Pickers.
I have a really simple solution to that. Is that you would have a list in a field in a dialogue, and on on line 1 you would type in a calculation, and you use the value list functions to grab something from a field. Then on line number 2 you type in a hyphen. Line 3 you type in another calculation, and you could put together one or more calculations, and you would need a sort function, which I think we already have now again. We added that, right? Like,
oh yeah.
okay. So you would wrap these,
It just surprised me one day.
you would wrap them, like the get value list stuff, but and then on some lines you could literally put a line that gives you the current definition. So you'd pop up that dialog and you would select the field pairings that would work relationally for what you want. So between calculations and hyphens and the get functions, you could, do whatever you want with it. And just you click on a plus button, add a line, and do what you want in it, either one of those 3 item types. I've had that definition for like 20 years, maybe longer. When did Sean leave? Oh yeah, since 95. That's when I created that definition. When Sean Flischkowski left, because we were talking about it late at night when we were working late. It's like, oh, we should do this, and we never did it.
Hey, Eric, can I share my screen 1 sec?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm gonna stop.
I'm gonna
share.
Try and redeem myself here. So here's this field that's white. I can edit. I had you made me lock the field. Hold on, sorry.
I made you do that. Huh?
Well, actually, no, forget it. We know that field's locked, but here's if it is locked, click a button, you say it's locked, and then it grays out. So they can still annoy themselves with trying to edit it, but it's grayed out, and it's like, well, I told you it's.
Are you sharing your screen? Oh, you are sharing your screen. I just don't see it.
And then just shout out a bit of an FAQ on community, which basically I could paraphrase as like, hey, value lists don't do what I want them to do in this way or that way or this way or that way, right? So I would say pickers. Scott Love did a article for FileMaker Advisor magazine, which is apparently no longer available, even though I think someone should try and get the back copies. And basically he's doing this picker technology, a pick list, which, you're picking, you're running a script, you can do anything, with a script, very powerful, in terms of determining the font set you present. And pick lists, notice they're very colorful. Isn't that nice? So huge fan of pickers. And maybe one day we'll have a code face-off because John Mark Osborne did something on pickers.
Yeah.
And Todd Geist and the gang did something in Carbon, and pickers did it slightly different. And the guy in Weed Picks. So a lot of people looking at pickers because they're awesome. Pickers are awesome.
Yes.
I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Pick lists. I think pick lists are better than pick portals. I think lists are better than portals. Portals are nice, but lists are better.
Okay, what's the next one?
Auto-resize custom dialogues. Oh yeah, like if you have a certain amount of text in there, so people may not see the whole thing if you.
Oh, the scripted, and it should lock into place.
Oh yeah, custom dialogue. Could use a little work.
Do you remember how HyperCard used to resize its custom dialogues?
I didn't have dinner.
Thank you.
I don't. That was way before my time. No, actually it wasn't, but I still don't remember.
Hey, look at that. Monkey bread. Told you.
Okay, so basically, depending on how much text was being displayed, it would incrementally increase the width and then the height of the dialogue until it could display all the text. And, this isn't that hard. Computers have so much power right now. In fact, HyperCard was doing it back when there was a 2FX.
Yeah.
Or an SE. So when a dialogue appears, there's so much compute power that's available that it could easily be done.
Yeah.
Well, this is a bread and butter feature.
It
I
is.
personally use a lot of
I
show
didn't
custom.
vote for you yet. Look at that.
Oh, vote twice.
Everybody vote.
I think this is that's one of my most popular script steps is show custom dialogue.
Yeah.
Make it better. I'm all for it.
Auto-ellipse indicating that there's more than being displayed.
Ellipses.
I think
Oh yeah. Oh, it sounds like it's the same for the same kind of problem.
it's the same topic. Custom dialogues.
Funny how they both
Or
showed.
wait, is it for text fields too?
Immediately would be auto-ellipsis checkbox in the inspector. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's for text field.
Yeah.
But the custom dialogues could use it too.
Sure.
I don't think that's hard.
Funny how it's just a simple little thing. Got so many votes.
Sometimes it's the little things. All right. It looks like we're down to like 2 more to go. Oh, native portal sorting.
Wait.
What does that mean?
Don't we already have that?
Native portal sorting. What does that mean?
I thought we had that.
No, we don't have that. Although that's Kirk. All right. So Tom Fitch wrote a blog post and he titled it, not me, Sorting Portals That Doesn't Suck. It's a catchy title. And he's got a methodology that I believe is quite good. It involves going to the related, going to the related records, sorting, bringing back a list of, I use record IDs, and then having a calculated field that just does a little math, value list math, or list of values math. And that way you can sort by anything. You can sort by, 20 different fields in your portal. You can sort as many as 60 different ways. ascending, descending, and sort by value list. Don't
Yeah,
forget sort by value list.
I don't think he's talking about that.
Let's see what he's saying.
Right here.
Individual.
Well, he wants
Okay.
like how many things can you sort by in a portal?
I use this feature. It's bread and
There-
butter.
They're sort of locked in, like the sort for a portal is based on the default on the field, and you can overwrite it. And
Yeah, there's all these workarounds to make it be able to sort by multiple things.
And the best one is by Tom Fitch. Tom, if you're listening, you
Huh.
did the best way.
You have a link for it?
I'm looking right now.
hold on, I'm gonna show you something pretty simple.
Wait a second.
Eric, I'm taking over the screen.
Oh, you are? Okay, I'll stop my share.
You don't need to. I'm just in it.
Well, I don't know which one ends up on the recording if I don't, so.
Okay. Okay. Oops. Not video.
Eric, I dropped a link to the
Okay. We gotta remember
FileMaker
to
portal
save our
sorting that-
chat when we're done.
Okay.
Okay.
So see this app here? It's called LandScan. And you want to sort. So pretend this whole thing is a portal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is what he means. I think he wants these fields across the top and the user to be able to click on things.
Oh, well, that'd be nice. I wasn't even expecting that.
I think this is what he means.
Well,
So you can
but
do
we
that.
don't even have that.
This is native sorting. I think.
Oh, now if you could shift click and sort multiple, that would be, I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's
how
it.
you do that.
I think you can actually. I don't know if this app can do it, but yeah, see, you can choose what fields show up here.
Hey, what if, you know how you do Control S and you sort, what if you were in the portal and you could do Control Shift S or who knows what, to sort the portal based on the same way you sort the main table. The same sort of interface, the same sort of script step, but you point it at a portal and it makes the portal sort.
See what this gives you? If you have titles across the top, you can shrink and grow the field in the table.
Yeah.
What is this? What application is this?
It's land scan.
Oh, just
I
an
think the-
app for your
I-
land scanning. Yeah.
So I think if you go to the Finder, I think that's also built.
Network app.
No, you just built in here, right?
Oh, you have it?
So this is the Finder doing the same thing. Sort by name, sort by date.
And it toggles.
And it toggles. And you have, if you right click, you get this. So you can choose what fields show up. And I think both platforms do this natively. But I think this is what he's referring to.
So he's talking about portals. Oh, do you mean the individual talking? That's Kirk. Kirk Rang. I forget how you pronounce his name. Can you bring it up again? Does he use the word portal?
No, I need to not share. Hold on.
Okay, here I'll grab the screen.
Okay. You're not sharing. Eric, share.
Me share?
Hold on, Eric. Let me grab the screen for a second.
Which screen are you?
I don't know. I'm going to show you. Here's my
Yeah.
at DIGFM. I demonstrated a demo file for sorting. Hold on, Keith. You might get a kick out of this
Yeah,
because
hold
it
on.
uses FileMaker features.
Thank
Okay, you ready,
I'm not seeing your window.
Eric? Are you seeing my window?
I see your window.
Okay, I'll make it a little bigger.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to turn off that multi-share.
Oh, it ended up on the other monitor.
Okay, so here is
Uses everybody.
here is some code. So I'm going to sort by a number field,
Oh,
ascending, descending. And I actually looked at how Apple does it, and I'm kind of doing it the same way.
just
Time.
one thing at a time, right?
Yeah, well, it toggles. It
Yeah. Oh,
right.
nice.
It's a single field at a time. Yes. It's the
Yeah.
state of the art over here.
John Osborne had
Yeah, multiple fields.
Had a
I'm not
solution
doing
for
that. Here's what a lot of people doing this. Koji had it in his presentation. Matt Navarro did a blog post about sorting. Apparently, sorting is very popular in the FileMaker community. Now here, see this one? Type of layout. That would be, hold on. Actually, I had another demo somewhere because this is scripts, ascending, descending.
Yeah, it toggles back and forth.
Hold on, data model. That's what I want. Data model. Okay, because it sorts by value list. That's my big hurrah. It's the SLD, right? Okay, and then that's the other way. See, look at that. That's neither ascending nor descending. That's sort by value list. How about that? Sort by value list.
So to be able to do multi-field sort, you'd have to go crazy in a calculation.
Yeah.
You'd have to put a global field that contained the order.
Branch.
And then you'd have to have a script that goes through and branch through like 20 different possibilities.
Yep.
For this layout, it would be more like 30 different possibilities.
Yep.
But anyway, it would be a lot. So
Yeah.
if you want to optimize this ability, you'd have to create a JSON blob that had the order in it, that had ascending, descending. It would have to have pairs of all the values. So it would have to the field name and the order and the other field that sort takes.
Yeah, that'd be hard. Or you could do fields that concatenate or whatever.
It would be easy, and then you would take that, pass it to that order. You would pass it through to the sort dialog. The sort dialog would pick up the JSON and go, "Oh, I know what that list is," and it would go off and sort it that way.
Right. And that would be good if sorts could be done programmatically beyond one. So anyway, that's your basic one thing. I'm going to stop sharing.
Sure.
Oh, and then the sorting portals just involves going to a list view, sorting in a clever fashion, setting a list of IDs, returning to the portal, and that's it. That's Tom Fitch's method. Read the blog post. Works great.
Oh yeah, you posted that. Good.
It doesn't suck. I would say that it does not suck. I would confirm.
Right. That's good.
That's a known thing. The constant relationship.
Oh.
You should be able to say 1 equals some field.
Let's see. What is this thing?
Or field equals ABC. But it would be reversed. The syntax in that calculation that's being shown is not correct. It would always have to be 1 equals some field.
Right.
Because the left to right.
Left-hand side.
Left or right.
Oh yeah, so you don't have to go creating fields and
No, it's the order matters in math, right?
Yeah.
In comparisons, order matters. So you wouldn't be able to say some field equals 1. You'd have to say 1 equals some field.
So you can do this today. So the request here is, can I do it with less effort or less cruft?
People don't want the global field.
Yeah.
I would.
It seems like an easy thing to.
I wouldn't.
Have to do
I would not deploy 2 minutes engineering talent on this particular one. With all due respect to.
It doesn't look like it would take much, right?
No, it would take quite a bit actually.
Oh. Ooh.
So you would, instead of the dialog that you get now where you have name value pairs selected via fields, you would have to swap it out for a calculation equals some field.
I guess so. Or what if FileMaker just had an invisible field that just did it when you...
No, because that invisible field is being used by a bunch of people.
Yeah.
A bunch of people.
I'm going to say, I believe when Keith says it's not easy. So I'd say you can do it currently with the current feature set. Someone said it earlier that I personally prefer features that give us, where we can't do it. There's no workaround. There's no even a convoluted workaround.
Well, there's something that you don't know.
What's funny is that nobody commented that way. And they got a lot of votes.
So well, it's because they want it. They don't understand what it would take.
Yeah.
So joins.
Yeah.
You can do a calculated join.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or a global join.
No, a calculated join.
Calculate. What do you mean by a calculated join?
Bring up a join.
Well, like title and author, where you can concatenate title and author.
You mean like
No, in layout mode.
layout mode?
Yeah, in layout mode. Find a portal.
Like this portal here?
I'll click on it. See the filter portal?
Mm-hmm.
That's a calculated join.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was just, I thought I heard that.
No, it's the join that's already there in the join,
right,
plus a filter.
Right.
Subtract.
And the weird thing about this is if you do a search in that portal, and it'll find it through the relationship, even though it doesn't display in the portal.
Okay, and then click on specify.
Yeah.
Type in 1 equals some field.
1 equals what? Like this field?
Whatever. I don't care. Some field. And then
it's an unstored calculation, by the way.
Yeah, don't worry about that right now.
Okay.
Okay. Return.
But like that?
And 2 equals some field.
Like this one?
Uh-huh. So this dialog has an optimization for joins in it. If you use and or equal, not equal, what are the other things? I think there's 4 symbols.
Oh, calculated joins.
Yeah, but this is a negative. It's a filter. It removes or adds. I forget.
Well, it has to be and, right? So it's going to narrow it down more.
No, well, it's your rule. But as long as you don't have a complicated description in there, like less than or greater than or.
Oh yeah, those slow things down.
Or use or whatever. As long as it's exactly what the join dialog can do, then this will work.
Oh.
It's optimized. It creates the equivalent of what a join is.
Yeah.
Then it performs the math on the 2 things.
It will lie to you though.
It's probably because
I can filter all these ones down here that are grayed out. But if I go into find mode and do a search for Ben Miller, it's gonna find Ben Miller, and and then the user is gonna look at this as I don't see any Ben Millers here.
The filter is not honored in find mode.
Yeah, yeah.
But visually it is.
Yeah.
So
it works for.
Also, that was a last minute feature that was added, and it's
years ago.
Probably FileMaker 7, I think.
Oh man, yeah.
or 8, somewhere around there, and it was suboptimally tested, and its performance is not that cool.
No.
But the feature is there, And if they improved on it and put that feature inside the join graph dialog
Mm-hmm.
and optimized it so it worked just as fast as a standard join.
Oh yeah.
But the problem is it's a calculation. So if you have a portal on every single list view row,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be slower. Because for every row, it has to calculate and do the thing. Calculate, do the thing. It can't just show the data.
Oh, that would be bad.
It depends on your calculation and
Yeah.
everything.
What did we get? Well, we got all
We
the
could-
stuff that was voted on anyway.
We covered everything.
Well, no, there's more down here.
Is that
But-
the?
At least we covered all the stuff Caitlin was hoping that we would.
So we could leave 1, 2, 3. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Okay. We could leave them to the next. I think I'd say decent attendance for today, right?
Oh
16.
man. Yeah, it's not bad, but I mean the quality of the attendance I think was pretty good. We got Keith here today. We had Agnes.
Yeah. And 16 is
Even David, who doesn't usually speak, gave us some insight today.
Yeah, a little
He's
bit.
still alive.
Agnes is like, she was annoyed every time I spoke.
Hey, we're still recording, by the way.
Yeah, I know, but it's just the truth. She
Well-
was annoyed, and then she figured out who I was.
Yeah.
And we've both been in the business for X
Well,
number
she didn't know.
and she never heard of me. And quite honestly, I never heard of her either.
Well, yeah, it's
The first time we met.
what happens when you get contractors, right?
So it was an odd thing for me to experience, not to be known in the FileMaker community.
Yeah.
And then she looked up in the database and saw my name and went, "Whoa, are you the same?"
Well, I think you tried to tell her, but I don't know if she heard.
No, I tried to intimate without stepping on her. I was
That's
trying-
good. I'm glad you were able to negotiate that well, and we were able to keep both of you online because that was because it turned out to be a good meeting because of the input from both of you. So
Yeah, I was.
because it's really hard to get and it's we've had meetings with Rick, like with the user groups. It's like, hey, and like one of the top things was like, well, it'd be nice to get more speakers from Claris, but yeah,
He isn't here anymore.
yeah, and people have requested, of course, everybody requests Clay, of course, and yeah, I mean, he's way out in Texas and stuff too, but everybody does their thing online anyhow. Every once in a while, he makes a special appearance, but yes, we're pretty spoiled that we get Keith every once in a while, and then we get and then Agnes, she just showed up, I think, because she happened to be on FM Slug and saw what we were doing.
Mhm.
So that was an unexpected guest that we're glad to have.
Whoever wants the fonts embedded in FileMaker.
So
FileMaker
where's
Pro,
that? You looking at something here?
the bottom one. Whoever wants that really doesn't want that. It makes files really, really big. Fonts are huge.
Yeah, but so are all kinds of junk that we put inside a FileMaker. Let's see.
But it would make
Or like maybe if you could
Fine.
bundle it, like have it external or something, just like external images, right? External containers we can.
as long as there's a checkbox that says externalize it and the person understands that they're asking, 500 meg worth of font in their file.
He doesn't really want it. Hear that, Michael Jupe? Or did you pay?
They probably don't, they're probably not thinking about what it actually means. But
Huh.
I'd be interested in seeing what the improvements to the relationship graph is looking at.
What, this one?
Yeah.
Let's see. A way to select a base table and see a list of all the table occurrences in the graph. You could do that with color. You can run that execute SQL against the tables, the meta tables.
Yeah, but you want
Something searchable would be nice too, though.
you want to be able to say the ones in this graph, because there could be, if you're using anchor buoy, you don't care the one like three graphs below, 4 graphs below.
Okay.
You care about the one in this graph. So yeah.
All right, that's Vince. We think that's Vince Inspector Pro.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
that's him using one of his aliases.
Who's this guy? Look at that guy.
Okay.
Gee, that's he's not happy because
Crack in case he didn't get the relationship graph stuff. Oh, he signed it Vince. Okay.
Oh.
That's
Yeah,
cracked the
and
code.
I'm not sure I understand everything that he wants there, but
Huh.
yeah, I would be more worried about the improvements that I was saying earlier. When I go to a layout, I want this join graph to be used, and I don't want to load up the rest. I just want
Right, lazy loading.
I don't want to load the join graph when I open the file, which is what we're doing now, and we have the whole join graph in memory. So if there's 4, 6, 10,000 joins, we load up everything. All I want to do is the simple.
I'm gonna do a hard cutoff in about 8 minutes here.
Okay.
Okay.
But I think the other ones are understandable. I think ScriptLineNumber is already provided somewhere.
Yeah, that showed up in 19. I'm not, it's a nice feature. I'm not as excited because ScriptLineNumber changes. So
how useful is it if you log it off?
Well,
the script.
We would, in the help ticket system, we pass a string. So if the script gets edited, lines are added or deleted, we can find the string. So the script line number, it's a nice feature. I don't use it. It's still nice. Whoever built it, thank you.
I tried to get something more resilient.
You don't, I mean, it's all there. You just, if there's an error in a script, make a help ticket.
Hey,
send a string.
That came here 7 years ago. I came here to submit this idea.
And it is, do they mark it as delivered? I would think that's delivered, right? FileMaker 19 or something like that.
Let's
but
see,
whatever.
But it was added because of the relational features that was added in 17 or 19, whatever.
Okay, nice feature.
Josh is in here. Huh.
Is that on the, oh, hold on, set error logging. Same thing. I mean, like, am I the only developer that occasionally edits a script?
What are you looking at? Sorry.
Yeah.
What are you looking at?
No, I was saying, I'm making a joke there. Yeah. It's like, have you ever written a script and then you add some lines to the top of the script and you notice the line numbers below change?
Yeah.
So what is the script line number? It's a temporary, it's an ephemeral condition.
Yeah, but what else are you gonna do?
Send a string.
So
As a matter of fact, I put a, hold on, this is useful for the recording.
I use
went
it
on-
more as
I
well.
went onto the Brian Dunning website and I submitted for free a custom function called CustomDebugInfo.
Huh.
Because
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
if you set the feature that's mentioned in the thread here, which is set error logging on, terrific feature, very awesome feature, FileMaker 18, I think it is. It gives you 6 built-in columns. Some of them are compound, but anyway, there's 6 hard-coded values, and then 7 is like, go to town. And they
Yeah,
call
I think
that table
was added at the same time as the relational stuff.
18.
Yeah.
So the 7th column is custom debug info. So I made a custom function called custom debug info. And then I used like 90 different get functions, because if you're debugging, wouldn't you want to know the condition of the script at that time? Wouldn't you want to know the privilege set? And on and on and on and on. And so that's the answer. Oh, and the custom function takes the parameter. And the parameter is like, I was
Hey, you got a
about
link
to
to this special custom function?
It's if you go to the Brian Dunning website, I'll find it, but you can probably find it faster. Go to Brian Dunning. I'll find it though for you. Hold on, FileMaker. FileMaker. Do it again. FileMaker. Let's see, custom function. And there's Brian Dunning showing up second. There's, let's see.
CL
Oops.
function.
So Eric, if I send you this, can you open it for the screen for the video? Oh, there you found it. Hold on. I'll give you a link right now. I found it. Oops. Okay.
Put the
I
word
have
debug in there, I bet would find it.
I said, you know what? It doesn't like the @ sign. I'm starting to use @ as the leading character because it gives me visibility. Custom functions pop in the code, and I can use monkey bread to fund. So you basically, there you go, script comment. You've heard of script numbers, you've heard of script names, you've heard of script IDs. Let me introduce you to the concept of a script comment. So when you call this, any way you call it, make a comment. And try not to use the same comment over and over in the same script. And that's it. And it's a, dare I say, it's a good custom function because I added the get functions and I do, what's that thing called? Layout ID, not just layout name, because that could change. Not layout number, that could certainly change. But we do layout ID because that does not change. And then the rest is, you know, the critique I would make is potentially you've got too many get functions here. And it's JSON. So you can put it all in one field and parse it out later because it's JSON. So you just send that into your help ticket system. And then if you happen to need to know what the extended privileges are, it's right there.
And I would just create a function for it and put a wrapper around it and turn debugging on and off. And only write it out if debugging.
You could do that.
But that way you don't have to calculate a million things, you know, if you're not actually debugging.
You would do
Call
so
function with a comment, your parameter that you're passing in,
yeah.
and put if debugging on, then do that.
Yeah, you could do that, I suppose.
Okay. In there, and then you don't even have to calculate the world out when you're not debugging. So yeah, that's all good. And then the new window, the person just wants to not move the window around and take care of the management of that window and whatever.
1 minute left.
So I will say, awesome job, Keith. Good to see you. David, likewise.
And I have a
Yes,
question.
thank you.
After you turn off recording.
Hey. And John, nice to see you. Kind of quiet there. Probably went home already.
Oh, sweet.
Just lurking.
Oh, are you there? Really? Okay. All right. I hope you enjoy
That's what
the
I
show.
do. I do work in the back. Work in
John,
this
what's your last name?
crazy podcast.
Yes, you. John, what's that?
We're not
Could be like-
recording.
Like Prince has a single name.
I guess.
Okay, let's turn off the recording.
All right. Let's see. How do I do that?
I thought it was recording.
More for me.
Maybe I can turn it off. I'm gonna click on the little.
Stop recording.